That's awesome. So, hey, welcome to the stream, everybody. I thought, hey, haven't been live in a while. Got to shake off the rust. Hope everybody is doing good in chat. I see Kabooble in chat, Christine Cabana, Sylvana Kingsland. If you guys are keeping your eyes on that, if that debate, if Bratney actually shows up, then send that in chat, because I do want to hear that interaction, if that's actually going to happen. I don't know if she was there already or what, but I just saw that on my Twitter, and I was like, I want to hear this. Gotta see this. Shout outs to Ferryman and Jeremy and Diagolon, of course. I had, I want to do more kind of chill streams like this, where I just kind of go over some things with you guys, and just browse Twitter. There's some work that I want to do for savefreespeech.ca. So that's kind of a reason that I thought, you know what? Let's just do it with everybody as well. You can hang out, put your suggestions in the chat, of course. And because, I mean, for me, this is kind of like the off season right now. You know, August, it's a lot of people are not really paying attention. They're on summer vacation. Fair enough. But I want to, I want to ramp things up, get ready, get prepared for September, because this could be the time where they try to push through Bill C-63, and it's not going to happen on my watch, okay? Not unless I'm shitposting all about it all over the Canadian internet to make it as painful as possible for them, right? But for this evening, we got a few things we're going to be reacting to. If you've heard about this woman in Grand Bend or Wasaga Beach, she was kind of going viral because she was like, there's people pooping on the beaches, okay? And they're immigrants and they're Indians, and she said this. She made a few videos about it showing evidence. And I don't know if you have seen this yet, but the police showed up. The police showed up to her house. And the police are basically coaching her. Well, don't talk about race. Just don't bring up the race. This is a police officer coaching a Canadian citizen on what to say on social media. And by the way, showing up to her house because of something she posted on social media. And, if you haven't seen what's happening on in the UK, then it's like, I made a video about it recently. I tied it into Bill C-63, of course. It's, it's a foreshadow, guys. It's a foreshadow of what is coming here, unless we do something about it. And I'm hoping with this project, Save Free Speech, the idea is this. There's so much chaos going on in the country, and honestly, most of it is totally valid to talk about and prioritize, So don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't think this other stuff is like arguably even more important, but we can't talk about all this other stuff or anything. We can't even be a dissident. We can't even be an actual voice if Bill C-63 passes. Like, if this bill passes, we're all fucked, or rather our jobs as dissidents, as further right people who are pushing for our ideas and our values, our job will be next to impossible, or it'll be very, very difficult for us to do anything about it. And that being said, if you do want to support Save Free Speech, we're going to be updating the website to be even better in September. But right now, you can check out the Give Send Go, givesendgo.com/savefreespeech. We already have $2,450, which is amazing. There's a documentary that we're working on. That's where these funds are going towards. Editors and marketing. And people need to know this story of what's going on in Canada, because it's there's no one else who's really taking the time to tell the story. Rebel News doesn't want to tell this story for some reason. True North isn't really interested. They just kind of want to push the next group of people in power, which is the Conservative Party of Canada, right? So we got to do it ourselves. And big shout out to everyone who's already donated. I'm really excited. Because there's a lot more in the pipeline. A lot more exciting things in the pipeline. And I kind of got sidetracked there. Number one, we're going to go over the Wasaga woman who was told by the police what to say on social media. Number two, we're going to go over the best liberal arguments in favor of Bill C-63. And there is a press conference by, Arif Virani, the liberal minister who tabled this piece of shit legislation. Pardon my language. Sorry. Sorry about that. Oh, wow. We're going to be going over all that. That's kind of the work that I have to do. I've already looked over it before, but I want to look over it again. And it's a good reference because it's the best argument for the bill. They're not very good. Some of them, a lot of them are completely absurd. And so we're going to be going over that. And then number 3, later on, I'm going to workshop a kind of a short video, comedy video that I want to work on, or that I want to post rather. I've had it on the back burner for a while, but it's about critical race theory. It's a critical race theory jingle. Yeah. And I think you guys will enjoy that. But I guess without further ado, we'll just get into it. We'll just get into it. Maybe I should bring the chat up on the screen. Maybe I should do that. How are you guys doing? How are you feeling? Shout outs to Edgy DTV in chat. This man is a legend, let me tell you. Yeah, I love this guy. Josh Brown says, or Edgy DTV says, people are spending years in jail now in Britain for mean tweets. Yeah, exactly. And their bill, what is it called? It's almost the exact same name. It's called the Online Safety Act. Ours is the hold on, let me bring it up here. Is this right? I think this is right. Online Safety Act, published May 2024. What does it do? Oh, look, it protects children and adults online. This is the exact same excuse that they're using in Canada. Exactly the same. Let's read a bit of this. The act will give providers new duties to implement systems and processes to reduce risks their services are used for illegal activity, to take down illegal content when it does appear. Yeah, so I should probably take notes while I do this, just to double my time. That's kind of the whole point of the chill streams like this. But yeah, let's make some notes, shall we? And the point I'm just writing down is big tech already does this, okay? Big tech, you think you can post like pornographic material on Facebook? No. Actually, I guess you can do that on X, Elon Musk. But it like the implication is that the government wants control of the internet, but they're like, no, like we're going to be the ones who can determine what will protect children online, not the big tech platforms. If they were serious about this, and this is a point, if they were serious about protecting kids, they would target a specific company. Maybe I'll even bring it up here. Just give me a sec. Oh, it changed its name. I'll just bring up the... There's a company formerly called MindGeek. Now it's called ALO. Is a Canadian multinational pornographic conglomerate owned by Canadian private equity firm Ethical Capital Partners. It is primarily involved in internet pornography, operating a number of video sharing websites. Like if the Canadian government was serious about protecting kids online with sexual exploitation, they wouldn't just do a blanket thing of like YouTube and Facebook and all these big tech platforms, which have super, super, super tight regulations when it comes to this type of stuff. They would say, hey, MindGeek operates in Canada. If I'm not mistaken, their headquarters is, in Montreal, Quebec. Like if they were serious, they would even like call them by name, MindGeek. But let's face it, they're not trying to do that. Okay. It's about controlling people. Remember? It's about controlling the internet. Remember? All right, let's get into this first clip here. It's gonna take me a sec to bring up. I do want to bring the chat on screen though. I'm gonna take a second to do that. Yes, it's true. It's true. I'm drinking Starbucks. It's true, guys. Online Harms Act. I sent an email to my local MP regarding this crappy bill and got no response. Adults need protection online. Shut off your computer if you can't take it. Yeah, no shit. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know Tyler, the Creator, but he was like, you know, he's a musical artist. He was a big shit poster provocateur when he was first kind of becoming popular. And he had a very funny tweet about this, which was online bullying, like laugh my ass off, like nigga, just walk away from the computer, you know? And it's true.
So you think you know Wix.
Oh,
do you really?
We got ads. We got ads on our music. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm on top of it. Don't worry. The conservatives will appeal it. Sarcasm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is another argument that needs to be made really clear to, you know, Canadians or concerned Canadians about their freedom of speech. Passing this bill, Pierre Poilievre wants this bill to pass. Pierre Poilievre wants Bill C-63 to pass. Because if it passes, especially before the 2025 election, then that's a perfect reason to be like, wow, Trudeau bad. Isn't Trudeau so bad? Because that's his whole, that's like 75% of Pierre Poilievre's talking points is Justin Trudeau bad. So yeah, of course he would want Bill C-63 to pass. Hello? Because that's another reason for Trudeau bad. And hey, you got to vote for me. I will appeal it or repeal it. Great. They're spending tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars into the budget to set up all of these regulatory bodies that would be part of Bill C-63. It's insane. It's insane. Yeah, I don't have to tell you that this Conservative Party stinks. The people in here already know this. Ethical. Great name for a porn company. Is that what it was called? That was called ALO. ALO. What the fuck with the coffee? What? I can't drink coffee at 8 o'clock? All right, let's get this first video up here. Let's react. Where is it? Right here. This is actually credit where credit's due. This is a good piece by Sun News. How are we looking here? Okay. Wasaga Beach incident. TikToker gets a door knocker from police.
These people right here, you're gross. She's seen that they were using this as a washroom. Pooping on beaches seems to be very common. You guys need to know what you're running into when you come to Wasaga Beach. And it's not locals doing it. It is people coming from out of town, and it is immigrants that think it's okay to dig a hole, pop a squat, and bury their poop. Where kids play in the sand.
And I just want to point out how that's like just such a basic take that most of the country would agree with, and we're going to see she's getting like picked on for this. Here's some guy, who is this, Joe Warmington?
Just for saying that.
Yeah.
This woman named Natasha, who on TikTok goes by Natty Lynn, received a visit from an OPP officer.
There is somebody called in about somebody posting things on TikTok about East Indians defecating on the beach.
Which I'm entitled to. I wasn't being racist. My daughter's Indian. My baby father's Indian. I lived with his family. It wasn't I wasn't threatened.
Whoa. Slow down. Lots to unpack there. I hate how they jump to, I'm not racist right away. First of all, so there already is anonymous tattletaling that's happening. That a police is going to show up to your door because you said something about immigrants. What? Like it's way more people should be outraged by this. Because, you know, I'll talk to people about Bill C-63 and how terrible it is, and they'll agree, but they'll say, oh, that's too absurd. That's not going to pass. Stuff like this is already happening. This bill would just make it worse. This bill would just make it like even a more developed ecosystem for people to tattletale on others for having the wrong opinion or saying something about immigrants. It's already happening. The police are already like showing up like dogs to be like, oh, someone said that you said something about immigrants. What the fuck is the purpose of this police officer right now? Is it, and of course, for everyone in the chat, you probably already get this, but shitting on white people basically happens every day on the CBC by Justin Trudeau. Like it's implied everywhere. Like our entire leftist news media in Canada just oozes this sort of anti-whiteness or feel guilty for being white. It's like standard all across the country in popular news media. Can I call the police and be like, hey, you need to arrest Rosemary Barton. You need to show up to Justin Trudeau's house. He said that unvaccinated people are despicable. Like the double standard is obvious. Like it's almost at the point where it's like, do I even have to mention it? But it should be mentioned. It should be emphasized in the spirit of self-respect and honoring, just the truth of the situation. Because this is totally insane. This police officer has been trained. This police officer has been trained and coached to say, hey, did you say something bad about immigrants or brown people, white person on the internet? We got a 10-4 here. We got to take her down. She's resisting. Anyway, let's rewind that. It gets even worse. Let's rewind that a little bit, though.
Somebody posting things on TikTok
About
East Indians defecating on the beach.
which I'm entitled to.
What's so creepy to me about this? What's so creepy to me about this is this is like a sentiment I get from family members or close friends sometimes. They'll say, Greg, someone that someone that we know saw what you posted on Instagram. Okay. They're fragile. I get it. This is what I do for a living. People like what I say. Oh, they disagreed. All right. Like, why are you talking to me like this is like a problem? Like I'm in the principal's office. Like we have to sit down and talk about this. That attitude makes me sick. It makes me sick because it just goes to show how deep the demoralization of Canadians are, where they've adopted the social acceptability of like, we need to go along to get along, to the I saw what someone posted and it made me uncomfortable. It's like, I don't believe in violence, but like these people need to be slapped in the face and be like, hey, shut the fuck up. Maybe there's a lot of people who agree with this first. And even aside from that, it's like, do we live in a free country anymore? Where we can just like say what we want? Duh. Like the whole premise of like complaining and whinging and whining about it is just so annoying to me. And I got to say, who do you think does this? It's mostly white people who feel guilty about being white. It's mostly people who are like, completely indoctrinated and brainwashed. Do you think any of the new immigrants or even just like people who are non-white in Canada really give a shit if I have some strong opinion? Probably the only ones who do are like, university educated, indoctrinated as well. Oh, what they said is problematic. Oh, they're not going to get a job with an opinion like that. It's like, take a look around. Like read the room. This whole mentality is just like ruining Western society. Like I feel like that's not even that too far of an exaggeration. Hell in a Handbasket says, "Sup, Greg? How's it going, man? Let's see what this cop has to say."
I wasn't being racist. My daughter's Indian. My baby father's Indian. I lived with his family. I wasn't threatening anyone.
There's the excuse. I'm not racist. My baby daddy is Indian, blah, blah, blah. She should not have to say this. She sounds like she's on trial and this is her excuse. She's like, hey, I'm not racist. Oh my God. I've slept with an Indian guy before. And hey, she's a sweet woman. At least she's speaking up. At least she's saying something. If you're watching, I'd love to interview you. But I got to say, this attitude is such a problem. Oh, did I say the wrong thing? I'm so sorry. I swear to God, I'm not racist. Then again, to give her some sympathy, when a policeman is at your door, it is pretty intimidating. Because they do have the authority. Unfortunately, they do have, they have the power to reign over you and screw you over, more so than just like some other citizen who's complaining about what you said on the internet, right? So I guess I'll give her some sympathy there. But yeah, this is the best response to something like this is, what are you doing, bud? Is this your job? Is this your job to police me on what I say on social media? You're the social media police? It's literally the thought police. But anyway, let's keep going.
Nothing like that.
I personally have not had any calls for this type of behavior on the beach.
Yeah.
And from what my understanding, it's actually these actual incidents happen sometimes.
Look at the fidgeting here. Look at the fidgeting. This isn't. Oh my God. How can you live with imagine being this police officer? Well, had a tough day today. They said that people are pooping on the beach, and I swear they're not pooping on the beach. I never saw it. Must not be happening.
Yeah.
And from what my understanding, it's actually these actual incidents happened some time ago.
No, it's been recently, and my friend sent me proof a couple days ago, and if I can even she messaged me that her stepdaughter jumped into a hole, and then I went to the beach and filmed all the tents on the beach.
Maybe.
Yeah, this part's crazy. I watched this already. This part coming up is insane.
Talk about tents.
I have. I've only made one video that went extremely viral about it.
But maybe don't note a particular race.
There you go. Thanks, police officer. Thank you so much. He's like, well, when you're posting online, you can talk about tents. I'm the police officer. I'm going to tell you what you can talk about. You can talk about tents, but maybe don't bring up the specific race of the person. Again, what the fuck is this person's job? Pardon the language, but like this needs to be underlined and like exclamation pointed. What is the job of this police officer? Protect, serve, tell you what you're allowed to talk about on social media. It's crazy. It's crazy. And for everyone watching who, especially if you're like, from the Diagolon or PPC realm, it's tough for us out there because we see what's going on, and it's not just the craziness, but it's almost like it's always a double reaction for me anyway. I can't speak for all you, but for me, it's like the thing we see is crazy, and then the lack of an urgent reaction from more people is also crazy. And then we're watching this, we're seeing this crazy thing, we're seeing like no sort of like strong pushback against the insanity, and then it's like, am I crazy? Like it's so disorienting and so of course demoralizing. But I don't know. I'm in a good space right now because I'm finding you do. Austin S just said it's clown world. You kind of do need to embrace the clown world, not accept it, but like embrace the fact that this is almost beyond comedy in terms of how crazy it is. But we need to keep a lightness of spirit because it's going to be a long haul. Okay, this is going to be a long haul. And, we need to stick together and sort of just be able to embrace the insanity and call it for what it is. Like that's lying. That's absurd. That's totally unacceptable. Let's play that again. I can't believe this guy. Well, you can talk about tents. That's okay. Just don't, as your local police officer, you're not allowed to talk about the race of the person. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I've only made one video that went extremely viral about it.
But maybe don't note a particular race.
Well, I'm entitled to speak on my experiences. I did not tell anybody to attack them. I did not allow racism. I've made it clear that I do not condone to racism. My daughter is Indian.
So all those things are good.
Yeah.
But maybe encourage people to call the bylaw.
I have, and I even in the news article you can read that I did say that if you guys see something, say something. That's been my motto, and I said this doesn't just go for anyone of that race.
It's anyone who does it.
It's just what I've seen, and I was told it was cultural, so I said that's besides the point because I don't want my kids to step in it. My friend's daughter did a couple of days ago.
I don't want anyone I know.
It's a biohazard, and I was not targeting a.
It's a biohazard. That's a great point. I mean, this guy is on such a power trip to like be in there and being like, hey, I'm your social media coach. You know, I'm your social media coach. Okay. I'm going to tell you what to post about online. It's crazy. Yeah. But free speech is totally intact here in Canada. For those who don't know, we are raising money to save free speech in Canada. You can go to savefreespeech.ca and you can email your MP. There's a little thing, a little portal we have there. Just want to plug this, you know what I mean? Working hard on this, and it's a pretty cool website, pretty cool thing. For those who don't know, you can go to savefreespeech.ca/action, and we have a quick and easy way to look up your MP. And you actually see what's different about our website than other websites that do this. First of all, we don't take your data. We do not save your information. You just put in your postal code here. That's not a real postal code, but it populates your MP and your riding, and then you get their email. You get their email, and then you have to copy and paste their email into your own emailing app, whether it's on your phone or on your computer, and then you copy and paste the body of the email, paste it into the body of the email, put your own kind of signature at the bottom, and then send it out. Two great things about this. One, like I said, we don't take your information. We don't take your data. A lot of these websites apparently are associated with, well, not officially, but under the table, connected to other political parties, and they just farm that information. They get your email address. We don't ask for your email address here even. They get your email address, they get your postal code, and then they ship that off to the political parties. I've heard. So number one, we don't take your data. We don't do that. Number two, we don't send the email ourselves. You send the email yourself. And the benefit there is it gets through the filter. It gets through all the, you know, you can imagine the MPs have a lot of emails that come in and a lot of spam. So they have really aggressive spam filters. This gets past the filter. And I know that a lot of people here might be thinking, hey, Greg, it's like screw the what do you call them? Where you sign to get all the signatures. Screw the petitions. Screw the petitions. That shit doesn't work. I agree with you. I don't think petitions work. However, it's about causing pain. Like you're right. One email is not going to make a difference. But if hundreds and then thousands of people go to savefreespeech.ca and do this and clog up an MP's email, that is something that causes pain to the people in the Ottawa bubble. And that's kind of part of the whole strategy here, is like causing them pain and discomfort and making them react to this. But yeah, that's one tool that we've set up. And of course, the other thing you can do is you can go to our fundraiser for the documentary that we're making, which is the dirty tricksters and the ideologically biased people behind Bill C-63. GiveSendGo.com/SaveFreeSpeech. And yeah, it's very exciting stuff. Let's get back to the rest of this video though.
Specific group of people. I have since broadened my words. I'm
not here to even,
I know, but you guys came to my house though, and it's embarrassing, and I'm entitled to my feelings.
I'm not here to lecture you.
I know.
And I'm not even.
What? You're not here to lecture you. You were just coaching her on what to say on social media, bro. Which is in a way worse than a lecture, because it's even more pointed and directed and controlling. It's like specifically telling somebody what to say on the internet.
I'm not here to condemn you. I'm here to whatever stuff you want to do.
I did nothing wrong, and I'll continue to talk about it because I'm allowed to. But
Good for you. Hey, good. Yay. Good for you. That's the energy. That's the energy. That is the energy. I wish it would have been that energy the whole way through. Why are you here? Why do you care what I posted on the internet? You're a police officer. I didn't commit a crime. Why are you at my house? Why are you at my house right now? Explain yourself. That should be the response. What right do you have to show up to my house just because someone called and said, hey, I said something offensive online? I know my rights. Get the fuck out of here. But good for her that she stood up and said that I've done nothing wrong, because that's absolutely correct. And that's exactly why Yeah, that's exactly the energy we need more of.
I don't support anybody specifically targeting people.
At the end of the day, in 2024, this seemed very much like 1984. The police officer was respectful and kind, but the bigger question is, should the police be going to someone's home based on something said on social media?
No. I mean, Joe, yeah, sure. The police officer was respectful and kind, but he was also telling someone what to post on the internet. Like, you know, it's like, he would, you know what? He was respectful and kind, just like Justin Trudeau is respectful and kind when he says, do we tolerate these people? Yeah, he was very respectful and kind. I totally reject that sort of giving our political enemies points just because they're polite. It's like they're passive aggressively dehumanizing us. You know what I mean? Oh, but they were polite about it. I don't care. I don't care. Stop giving our enemies the benefit of the doubt and giving them brownie points for acting polite. Okay. That being said, you know, I think there is something to that, unfortunately. Because like part of me, I'm a huge fan of Jeremy McKenzie, obviously, and Ferryman, and Derek, and they can be very aggressive. They can be very kind of angry and voicing their rage. And I think there's definitely a place for that. But at the same time, I think there's also a value in being anti-immigrant and also being polite about it and being very sort of respectful while expressing your opinion, being firm and assertive. But I think there is something to that. Fighting fire with fire, or almost like using nice coded Canadian language to be anti-immigrant. I think there's something there. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. Let's see what Joe has to say.
It's a pretty big stretch to call this woman racist. She's a single mother.
Joe, again, I don't care. I don't care, dude. I don't care if she is racist. We should not care about this. Again, it's like, it's the court. It's like I said at the beginning, she's like there defending herself. Well, I'm not racist, as if she's on trial for racism. This might be mind blowing to some of you. Guys. It's not illegal to be racist. Did you know that? It's not illegal to be racist. Why is everybody acting like it's illegal, or like, you know, like it's the end of the world or something? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Because it almost like validates this theory that there already is a sort of like parallel morality that is like the stronger operating authority in Canada. I've talked about this before, but it's like the liberal authority, the sort of like Justin Trudeau moral authority. You know, if you're racist, then you will be a social outcast forever. By the way, you can be as racist as you want against white people. You can spit on them. You can tear down their statues. You can call them evil colonizers. You can call them inherently evil. But if you're racist against non-white people, then you are the fucking worst. You're the worst. You're a Hitler. Yeah. But it's so sad to see how deep the indoctrination goes, right? It's so sad to see how it's just like it's infected everybody. And Joe Warmington, love the guy, good guy, but he's like, well, I don't think she's racist. Who cares? Who cares? Okay? What about freedom? What about the fact that the police are targeting this person for posting on social media? What about the end of our free speech? Well, I don't know, was she racist or not? It's, oh my God. It's crazy. And you know what? This is a good foreshadow, though, of what fighting for free speech is going to look like, because it's going to get ugly. It is going to get ugly. It's that whole adage of, hey, you know, I may not agree with you, but I need to defend your right to say it. It's like, yeah, I will defend the right to racist, anti-Semites, even anti-white people, believe it or not. You you know, to have their right to say it. We already have a good line in the sand, which is like you can't specifically target violence against a specific person or group. That line's been in the sand for a long time. But again, I hate this liberal courtroom of like, well, are they racist or not? This is what's the most important thing. Are they canceled or not? That's kind of what you're saying, Joe. Like, is this person a invalid who's racist or not? Because that is going to be the only determination of whether, you know, we should value her rights or not. And this is very spooky because it's definitely where Bill C-63 is going. You know, a lot of Canadians need to be pushed to give a shit about Bill C-63. Because, you know, they're not online posting about what's happening in this country. They're just trying to do their thing. And because of that, their logic is going to be, well, the bill's not going to affect me, right? The bill's not going to affect me, so I don't give a shit. It's just going to affect the dissidents who easily get characterized as racist. That's not me, so that's fine with me. But, yeah, it's not good. Not good. Let's get through the rest of this video. Sorry to be hard on you, Joe, but man, the Toronto Sun is supposed to be the right-wing media, but they operate on the same liberal moral authority of like, okay, are they racist or not? Oh my God. In the court of public opinion, screw the laws and freedom.
In Wasaga Beach, who merely was posting something that she thought was stretched to call this woman racist. She's a single mother in Wasaga Beach who merely was posting something that she thought was important for the public to understand about the beach there. Whether she's right or wrong, or whether it's been proven or not, going to her door seems like a big leap at a time when people are concerned about their privacy, and they're also concerned about over-policing on social media. In the end of the day, TikTok themselves restored her account, and perhaps that's where it should have stayed. On the other hand, the OPP, you know, they had to make their own call on it, and I think that no one was hurt here. Perhaps it's time to bury this whole thing in the sand and get out to that beautiful beach, Wasaga Beach, Ontario, Canada. For the Toronto Sun, I'm Joe Warmington.
Okay, Joe. Okay. To be honest, I don't know Joe very well, but conservatives have no teeth in this country. There's no teeth. There's no fight back. There's no resistance to this. Hey, well, I mean, the OPP, I guess, I don't think anybody was hurt. No, you should be condemning the OPP and how despicable this is. Hello? But it's, yeah, well, no one was hurt. Let's just bury this whole thing in the sand. What? This whole thing is so indicative of Thought Police, 1984, like you said, and then at the end, he just kind of throws all that away and says, let's just bury the hatchet. Crazy. What a goof, says Prairie. I mean, hey, like I said, I'm part of SafeFreeSpeech.ca is going to be about building bridges with people who are, you know, conservative supporters. I know that kind of makes people sick to their stomach maybe in chat, but that's we need to do that. We need to play that game to get as many people fighting against this bill as possible. We're not going to agree on everything, but yeah, it's going to take some time. I do want to, while we're kind of on this topic, I do want to get another drink too. So I'm going to play our recent video at Save Free Speech, which if you haven't seen it already, it's a good one. It relates to the stuff that's happening in the UK. There's so much despicable stuff happening in the UK, but yeah, this speaks to everything we're talking about, which is the unbalanced enforcement of laws.
Canadian mattress?
Wow, Greg, another ad on your video. Wow, but yeah, it's a piece that I'm really proud of. We have an amazing team at SafeFreeSpeech.ca, so I'm just gonna play it real quick for you here. Last week in the UK, 3 young white girls were stabbed to death, and the murderer was of African descent. This sparked massive anti-immigrant protests across the country. The media characterized anyone who protested 3 innocent children being murdered as far right, And the UK government is now enforcing their online censorship laws to arrest anyone who shares sympathy with this protest online. This is a warning to Canadians. The Liberal government wants to pass the exact same absurd laws on the Canadian internet with Bill C-63. Here's a clip from our upcoming documentary from SaveFreeSpeech.ca. The Canadian Anti-Hate Network claims to fight back against racism, but upon further investigation, one could argue that they are far more racist than many of those that they target. You see, anti-hate aligns with the controversial critical race theory ideology.
CRT instruction is now illegal in over 35 states. According to CRT, racism is primarily discovered anytime there is a difference in outcomes.
And lumps together all minority groups, or non-white people, with terms like BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and pits them against white people. Critical race theory promotes the belief that white people and the institutions they built, or supposedly didn't build, are inherently racist and oppressive.
With CRT, the labels of oppressor and oppressed are applied according to racial status. Specifically, whites are the oppressors and everybody else is oppressed.
This is just scratching the surface of the toxic ideas within critical race theory that the Canadian Anti-Hate Network promotes and defends.
The term critical race theory, or CRT, has been replaced. If you hear anti-racism instruction, it is critical race theory.
The Canadian Anti-Hate Network is launching a whole education program. We'll work with schools to carry out anti-hate workshops. We are already doing these workshops.
Their worldview is not only insulting to minorities who do not subscribe to this victim narrative, but it also discriminates against white people as a whole. To our knowledge, anti-hate has never reported a single instance of racism or hate being targeted toward white people, even though there are many examples of this. However, this is not surprising because... Let's do a quick pause there. Let's do a quick pause. Oh. Chicago torture video. 4 charged with hate crimes kidnapping. Oh boy. Darrell Brooks, convicted of killing 6 people at Wisconsin Christmas parade, is sentenced to life. Learned and taught behavior, so when we start back knocking white people the F out, I don't want to hear it. The old white people too. Knock them the F out, period. Darrell Brooks shared pro-Hitler memes called for violence against white people. Black man charged with murder and possible hate crime after shooting 2 white strangers in the back of the head. We got to stop hate, guys. We got to stop the racism. But if it's anti-white stuff, does not hit the government's radar at all. Dallas cop killer ranted about racism, followed extremists online. Oh, God. Man charged with shooting family after ball rolled into his yard, allegedly made racial comment. I said, man, that's crazy. And he said, you white? I don't even like white people. I'm going to shoot your ass. What's the clip? What's the clip from the guy who made Dilbert again? Should I look up the clip? No, I'll just keep it rolling. But the guy from Dilbert basically had a stream where he mentioned, he brought up a bunch of stats. You guys have probably heard this. He brought up a bunch of stats and basically said, yeah, it turns out black people as a whole do not like white people. So you should get the fuck out. Get the fuck out of the way. He got in a lot of trouble for that. But, unfortunately there's truth to it, Unfortunately there's this thing called human nature. Human nature. Yeah, but let's keep it rolling. However, this is not surprising because contributors to anti-hate seem to believe that being racist against white people is not even possible.
I've never and will never face racism, discrimination. I'm a middle class, middle-aged white guy. Whether you're a middle-aged white guy like me who's never experienced racism and never will, white guy like me who's never experienced racism and never will.
The Caucasian man must be killed with the sword.
Fuck white people, bro. They bad as fuck, bro. They beating up every white person. He white. Beat his shit.
We focus on the far right.
Fucking slavery.
Middle-aged white guy like me who's never experienced racism and never will.
This is probably why they promote controversial figures such as Toronto BLM co-founder Yusra Kogali. Kogali is a self-proclaimed anti-racist who has posted on social media about white people being, quote, inherently subhuman, as well as asking Allah to, quote, help her not kill white people. After this controversy, instead of apologizing for her comments, Kogali claimed critics were vilifying her for telling the truth about racism. Ever since Kogali has said these hateful things about killing white people, Anti-Hate still chooses to promote Kogali, where she states that anti-racist funding should be allocated to She says she wants to kill white people, and Anti-Hate still wants to work with her. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that not crazy? They're against hate. But, oh, you say you want to kill white people? Oh, you can still work for us. That hate? We're anti-hate, but like hating white people is okay. It's complicated. But I know they said, yeah, you know, Allah help me not kill white people. But we really like your chops. You know, you're fine with us. You're fine with us. We're against hate, but hating white people is A-okay. Isn't that great? Doesn't this sound like it's a really great organization that's totally against hate? She states that anti-racist funding should be allocated to groups whom she personally sees fit. How can Anti-Hate claim to be against hate when they promote people who say things like this, and even ignore violence and vandalism motivated by anti-white hatred? The emerging pattern is clear. The Canadian Anti-Hate Network will encourage and or ignore hate against Canadian citizens who disagree or don't subscribe to the radical ideas of critical race theory. Also, just like white people. I probably could have just said white people there. The emerging pattern is clear. The Canadian Anti-Hate Network will encourage and or ignore hate against white Canadians. Canadian citizens who disagree or don't subscribe to the radical ideas of critical race theory. Imagine being put on house arrest for opposing the conclusions of critical race theory. This would be our reality in Canada if Bill C-63 passes. You gotta stop the bill. It's already happening in the UK. Gotta stop where violent criminals who commit rape are being let out on bail and given a slap on the wrist, while people who complain about these horrific acts on the internet get sent to jail. We can't. It's actually so sickening how often this happens. Like if you look on Twitter, there's so many examples of, you know, horrific violence, the R word, rape. Is that going to get bad? I don't know. It's too late. I said it. But yeah, all of that happens, and the charge for talking about it is worse than the actual horrific act. And the thing is like, this is our moment as, you know, people who want to stop this from happening in Canada. We can see the UK. We can see it happening. We can see it happening, and we can stop it. But what we have to do is we need to put the pressure on the Conservative Party as much as possible. And yeah, like we need to do something about this. We need to do something. We need to be organized. We need to create our strong messaging. And well, that's what we're trying to do with SafeFreeSpeech.ca. Given a slap on the wrist, while people who complain about these horrific acts on the internet get sent to jail. We can stop this from happening. Go to SafeFreeSpeech.ca to learn more about Bill C-63, the Online Harms Act, and how you can help us stop it. Let's go. Yeah. Once again, go to SafeFreeSpeech.ca, or if you want to support the upcoming documentary, GiveSendGo.com/SaveFreeSpeech. Very exciting stuff. Nice. We got another donation from Richard P. Thank you so much. Richard P. Yeah, how are we feeling? Right now? We vibing or what? Next thing I'm going to do is react to Arif Virani. Do a little bit of the homework of hearing out the best arguments for Bill C-63, right? They're not very good ones, but they still make the Conservative Party cower. They make lawyers cower. The main argument is what they use in the UK, which is that it's going to protect kids online. Protect kids online. But Conservative Party, do you really think there is a political solution? So, people like to... That's Mark Burford. Thanks for the comment. So, yes and no. There is not a solution in the major political parties. Not really. No, there's not a solution in the major political parties. But that doesn't mean that there is no political solution. To be more specific, like, people are seeing what's happening in the UK and they're saying, okay, well, we just need to be prepared for street violence, or we need to be prepared to defend ourselves when all this inevitably happens. I mean, in a way that's not wrong, in a way that, that's already happening. And unfortunately, there is this horrible, obvious and vile sort of bias against white people, where if you're non-white, you can probably get away with beating up white people and getting away with it. There's already instances of this, like, in America and the UK. However, it's also, if you think that just dealing with street violence is the only solution, then we've already lost everything. And I don't accept that. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's the case, that we've completely lost everything. What's happening in the UK is like what we need to try and avoid, and use our organization skills to collectivize in a certain way to stop that from happening here. And politics is the organization of people and power to try and, to get to your means to an end. And just because the major political parties are useless doesn't mean that there's nothing we can do about it. And obviously there's a lot of elements to the Rubik's Cube, but like, step one is don't be demoralized. A lot of people are just demoralized in one direction or another. They say, I can't do anything about it. I'm going to sit on the couch. I'm terrified. I'm going to go run off into the woods. I'm going to, I don't know, like, there's nothing we can do. And that is a very fearful place to be. I've been there. And that doesn't look at the long-term sort of solutions that we could be cooking up and developing. And yeah, I mean, it's not going to be simple, but like, step one is don't be demoralized. Because if we're demoralized, we're caught up in fear. We're caught up in, like, our heads spinning, and we really can't even make any sort of like good decision that's going to sustain us into the future. Right? So what I'm focused on is creating momentum in a certain direction, knocking on the same door over and over again. Stop, say free speech, stop the specific bill. And there are other ways to apply pressure on the Ottawa bubble. But it doesn't happen overnight. It does not happen overnight. It doesn't just happen all of a sudden. And then, all of a sudden, like, we got our freedoms back. And I do like to use the trucker convoy as an example. People like to say, the trucker convoy proves that, like, there is no hope. And it's like, well, they were actually able to change the mandates. That started to change after the convoy, not before the convoy. It's when that public pressure was applied to the Ottawa bubble from outside the Ottawa bubble, as far as BC. That's when things started to turn around. And of course, that situation probably could have been better. Maybe it could have been worse too. But the point is that it is possible. It is possible. And you can make the argument of like, wasn't that whole operation cooked? Wasn't it part of a psyop? Wasn't there political people inserted in there to make the convoy not as effective? I think there's actually merit to some of those theories, but it's besides the fact, because there was a positive outcome for people. There was a positive outcome for the country in terms of rules being taken away. So it's not. I just feel like there's like, what do we have going on in Canada? We have the Freedom Fighters. We have the Conservative Party. We have the PPC. We have Diagolon. But like, you look at Rebel News, you look at True North, and a lot of these other popular shills on the internet, and they're all just backing the Conservative Party, and they're not critical of the Conservative Party. So they're insulating the Ottawa bubble from criticism. They're insulating Pierre Poilievre from criticism, because they're like, we just got to win, and then he's going to solve all of our problems, which is nonsense. But there's so much room. There's so much room for something to be there. There's an appetite for it. And there's a lot of upset people. And it's just a matter of tapping into that and getting everybody marching in the same direction. Because my response to someone who says there is no political solution, it's like, well, what's the best attempt someone has made so far? Because you're right. Like I said, the political parties are cooked. They're a bust. Obviously, supporting the major political parties isn't viable in terms of actually making change. But what sort of organization, long-term organization that's been built up and cultivated, like that's, has there been many solid attempts at that? You could even use something like Billboard Chris as an example. Something I don't agree with Billboard Chris on everything, but he is a individual activist who now has over 250,000 Twitter followers just by focusing on one topic and repeating that over and over and over again. And I guess I use that as an example because people are so hopeless, right? They're like, oh no, nothing can work. But I think a crucial part of someone like Billboard Chris's sort of like rise to popularity is nobody knew him for a long time. People thought he was nuts for a long time. It took a long time for him to continue to knock on that door over and over and over again until, now he has a whole bunch of clout, and now he's actually making an impact and, helping change policy. It's and this is why fighting the demoralization is so important, because when you're demoralized, you're fearful and you're not looking at any sort of long-term solution. You think, oh my God, I just need to be ready for violence in the streets or escaping the cities. And to be fair, trust me, I'm not saying that being prepared for, street violence is a bad thing. I'm not saying that going off, leaving the cities is a bad thing. However, that is assuming we've already lost everything, right? There can be political solutions that aren't the Conservative Party. There can be political solutions that are effective. And that's what we're building at savefreespeech.ca. It's going to be a political solution, at least something that puts pressure on the Ottawa bubble. That's the goal. That's the plan. And yeah, I mean, we have to try something. We have to try something. I think the appetite is there. And like I said before, it's the political parties, the major political parties are cooked. There is no solution there. Yet so much of the energy of concerned Canadians is behind these major political parties for some reason. And if we could just crack that code of creating something else that has like a serious sort of, political sort of like energy that has momentum or has sort of this power that speaks to the public or puts pressure on the Ottawa bubble, if that gets created, then that can be effective. That can be just like the convoy was. Of course, that was more organic. So this Safe Free Speech is going to take a lot of time to build. Thomas and Catherine Denault say, Uncle Hack needs to say the F word on Saturday. Lol. I think we all need to say the F word here and there. Pastor Artur Pawlowski did try. What has he been up to? What has he been up to? I would like to know. What's your name? Iwa? Yeah, no, I want to get back in touch with him and other dissidents, because, you know, I think we can all agree on this safe free speech issue. And, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that we can do when, I think, when we have a plan, have a good solid plan to get stuff done. All right, it's 9:40. Okay, I've only been streaming for like an hour or something. It's felt a lot longer. It's good to be streaming though. It's been a while. So, yeah, we gotta have hope, guys. Gotta have hope. Gotta have hope here. And it's gonna be work. It's gonna be boring. It's gonna be annoying. Speaking of which, I'll get into. I mean, it should be fun. It should be fun reacting to this. Let me open it up here. Let's get into it. Let's get into Bill C-63, guys. Let's get into Bill C-63. Rob Primo in chat. What's up, Greg? Rob Primo says, Greg, you're my favorite black guy. Hey. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, I get that a lot, actually. I get that a lot. I am a lot of people's favorite black guy. No, but speaking of black guys, I'm going to be talking about critical race theory later at the end of the stream. There's a little jingle that I wrote years ago that I think I'm going to try to make it into a short or a quick little comedy video. But I might write more lyrics tonight on it. I'll kind of give a quick rendition probably of it, give you guys a little taste of some comedy content that I'll hopefully be have the time to produce. But and that's another thing with this safe free speech issue. Like, I want to. Part of the reason why I really want to stop this bill is like I want comedy to stay alive. I want political commentary and real journalism to stay alive. You think that's going to stay alive after this bill's passed? No. Like it's going to be dead in the water. All of it's going to be dead in the water. And then all we're going to have are CBC comedians in Canada. What a fucking nightmare that would be. Just CBC Canadians? Sorry, just CBC. Well, just the opinion of CBC Canadians allowed. And then just CBC comedians. That sounds like a nightmare. That sounds like a horror show. All right. This is our buddy. This is our pal. We all know him. Arif Virani. Arif Virani. I actually ran against Arif Virani in 2019 as a PPC candidate. And I got to say, credit where credit's due, guys. He's a good politician. You know, that might be weird for me to say, but like he's really good. He's actually really compelling. He's a good speaker. You know, I'm not here to like, you know, say, oh, I love the Liberal Party, but you know, I've really taken the cynicism pill of politics, and it's like you need to recognize that it is a sport, and that the Liberals are really good at this sport. Okay, sure, it's a blood sport, all of that, but you know, I wish, because the last time this was, maybe I should bring this up actually. Let's see if I can bring this up real quick. The last time they tried to pass this bill, it was called Bill C-36. And the minister who tried to pass it, come on, is it here? Come on. Okay, this is a pretty good clip, I think. Let's just bring this up.
Sandbanks wines are best.
I am seriously considering getting YouTube Premium so I don't have to watch ads anymore. Anyone else? Anyway. Whoa! Mark Burford with $50? Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate that. Shout big 07s in chat to Mark Burford. Really appreciate the donation. That's awesome. Oh, we got Ed Tafford also becoming a plaid patriot. Amazing. Thank you so much. If you do want to help save free speech in Canada, just want to plug this again. We are making a documentary. Go to givesendgo.com/savefreespeech. And yeah, we're going to be making content exposing what this bill is actually about, which is political suppression and censorship and tyrants, really. It's a tyrannical bill. But I was just talking about how Arif Virani is actually a good politician. Like he's one to be feared and respected, because not respected, but respected in terms of like how he can do damage. Because we had, remember this guy? Like Stephen Guilbeault? Listen to this guy.
In the popular lexicon. There are two sides to the recommendations.
First of all, what's going on? Like, this guy looks like a criminal. This guy looks like a crook. This guy looks like a crooked liberal, like, gangster. Like, it looks like he looks like a hitman.
There seems to be widespread acceptance that companies like Netflix or Facebook should start paying GST/HST. But the panel wants to force them as part of their licensing rules to pay part of their name.
No, not at all. I mean, as far as the GST or HST, depending on where you are in the country, is concerned, it's about fairness. I mean, companies are paying GST in Canada, and there's no reason that some of the wealthiest companies in the world who are operating on Canadian soil shouldn't pay for it. In terms of asking them to do their fair share to contribute to Canadian cultural content, I mean, you were talking about Netflix. Well, last year Netflix spent around $1 billion.
I mean, the point is, this guy he sounds sketchy. He looks sketchy. He's not very compelling. He's not, did this bill get defeated, or was this Bill C-11 that eventually passed? Anyway, the point is like this is not a good politician, because he doesn't come across well. He looks sketchy. And I think maybe if you want to go like, conspiracy minded, like psyop minded, it's like we've become conditioned to like crooks like this who are like so untrustworthy, not good looking, stammering. And, Canadians have accepted this. Like, oh, we have these like stammering crooks as our public servants. But then they have someone like Virani show up, and he actually like sounds like a good politician. So now the public is like, oh, well, this guy actually makes sense. And, oh, this is actually a good thing. And, oh, we're protecting kids. Like, that's, not a good place to be. Not a good place to be. But anyway, we're going to react to this. This is Justice Minister Arif Virani outlines new bill to combat online harms. This is from February of this year, 2024. I remember I was like super demoralized when I first saw this. But we're going to react. We're going to talk about and we're going to actually write down some notes as well of, we want to steel man, instead of straw manning, we want to steel man the best possible arguments for Bill C-63. And we're going to get into it now.
Hello. Bonjour, Kwe. I want to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you today from the traditional territory that is unceded of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. I want to thank you very much for being here this evening. You will see that there is a large...
Of course, it starts with the land acknowledgement.
...large group gathered here with me. There are cabinet and caucus colleagues, and also some faces that may not be familiar to many of the reporters here in the room or the people that are watching on television. I wanted to acknowledge each of them because it is important. Leanne MacDonald is here from the Canadian Centre for Child Protection. Mohammed Hashim is here from the Canadian Race Relations Foundation. Richard Marceau is here from the Centre for Israel and Jewish Affairs. Rizwan Mohammed is here from the National Council of Canadian Muslims. You're going to hear from the two brave women who are beside me, Jane and Carla. They're all here because they understand the importance of the legislation, the Online Harms Act, Bill C-63, that I just introduced today at first reading in the House of Commons. Thank you all for being here.
Basically, we're going to do a victim parade. These people are victims. They're horrible victims. Mean things have happened. So we need to stop that by taking control over the internet. I made a video about this like years ago when they were trying to pass Bill C-36. And what the Canadian Race Relations Foundation basically does is that they create like victim porn. Maybe I should bring it up real quick, because it is. They've decided though not to make this like the main shtick. Canadian Race Relations Foundation, because I think that it doesn't It's not that good. I don't think like the stuff they make is not that. Oh, they changed the logo. They changed the logo. Oh my God. Let's see what this is about. This looks interesting. She's crying. It's got trucker convoy stuff. I haven't even seen this yet. So this is from the Canadian Race Relations Foundation. And yeah, essentially it's like, it's victim porn. It's going to be like, hey, like they cyber bullied me and it like ruined my life. That's more or less the stuff they make. Let's see what it's like. Content warning. This video contains references to gender-based and racist violence, such as, but not limited to, references to sexual assault, physical assault, slurs, and online hate. It's interesting how they just connected violence with online hate. That's going to be a popular theme as well.
When people ask you how you are or how you're doing, and I just, I'm like, I'm fine. But it definitely, wears on you, I think.
I don't want to like be someone who totally lacks sympathy, but that's kind of how I felt when I was unvaccinated in 2021, 22, when I couldn't even go anywhere. It's like, people ask how you're doing and you say you're fine. And it's like, you can't even go into a restaurant. Your family is like disowning you for not being vaccinated, for making your own personal choices. Once again, the double standard, right? Like only certain victim narratives are like valid. And then the rest is just shit. But yeah, let's continue.
My name is Linda Huang, and I am a social media strategist and blogger, and also the co-founder of Stop Race-Based Hate. They basically told me if I didn't stop talking about the Freedom Convoy, then they would remove my fingers, so that I wouldn't be.
Keep posting false information about the trucking convoy and you won't have fingers to spread your opinion. You opened your mouth wide. Now it's time to get shut. This is what they do. This is like the best argument to be able to censor the internet is just find the most vile comments you can and be like, this is why we need to control the internet. And it's just a fundamental, it's like a very, I hate to use the B word, but like it's a really boomer understanding of how the internet works. Like if you're anyone who is like under the age of 35 or like maybe even 40, you probably have a better understanding of the internet and how it's like, there's all types of stuff out there. You can find all types of stuff on the internet, vile stuff, wholesome stuff. But yeah, obviously people are hateful on the internet. That's just like what happens. That's just like part of the whole thing of shit posting on the internet and getting your frustration out on the internet. And by the way, there is a lot of false information about the trucker convoy. That's real. Dumb Chinese. That is a crazy, that's a crazy email subject. I don't know if I would have went with that. And I disavow like the encouraging violence. Anyway, let's continue.
Be able to write about it or post about it.
Again, I don't want to be this guy, but is this the whole story? You got an email of someone, threatening you, sure. And like now you're breaking down in tears. Oh my God. Like this, I'm like, I'm trying to be as kind as possible, but you got, toughen up. It's the person is just frustrated. They sent you an angry email. It's not the end of the world. And dare I go as far as saying that this person is probably kind of like mentally ill, a little sort of, if you're receiving an email of someone being mad at you and you start crying about it, that's wild. That's wild to me. That's a very, no offense, but you have a very brittle spirit. You have a very brittle spirit if you're getting an email of someone who disagrees with you and saying something very inflammatory, sure, but then you're going to cry about that. Damn. And again, this is the people that they find, the Canadian Race Relations find, to pull at the heartstrings and be like, oh my God, she got a shitty email. We got to control the internet now. Stop these haters. Meanwhile, on CBC, let's talk about our colonizing history and why, if you're white, you should hate yourself. That type of hatred is mainstream. But anytime criticisms for any other race of any other person that's non-white, it's the worst. It's the devil, and we got to stop it. Oh boy. Oh boy. Did you? Oh boy.
Oh, that's so awful. You're an absolute idiot. Choke on a bowl of bad flavored pho.
Okay. Why did they open with like the absolute banger email though? Yo, shout outs John Smith at Gmail. That's funny. I'm sorry. Bat flavored pho, like it's referencing the bat soup thing for the COVID era. Like that's fire. I'm sorry. Like I'm not, hey, that could play well to the right audience. That would play really well. You're an absolute idiot. Choke on a bowl of bat flavored pho. That's funny. Sorry. Call me racist if you want, but that's got, that made me laugh. Am I a bad person? I don't know. But they were saying violence to choke on soup. Yeah, it's saying choke on soup. It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. And once again, for context, Justin Trudeau was on TV saying, do we tolerate these people? Do we tolerate these people? That was fine. No, that was totally fine. Dehumanizing all those people, unvaccinated, no, that's totally fine. But telling someone to choke on bat soup it's like the end of the world. Oh my God.
Like, who writes these things?
There's like a sense of like maliciousness that's underneath there that actually needs to be taken very serious.
I was basically calling them out on racism, and I was asking others to do the same. And from that, I think was like the worst few weeks of my life. I blocked.
Again, I'm sorry. Is this woman mentally ill though? Like internet comments, reading internet comments is the worst week of your life? Pardon? Reading internet comments is the worst week of your life. And we're supposed to have sympathy for this. This is why I'm trying to have compassion. I'm trying to have sympathy. I'm trying to be empathetic here. Reading internet comments was the worst week of your life. You have no, just like any, especially right-wing content creator, like you can't help but like laugh your head off at this. It was the worst week of my life. That's every week of my life. People shitting on me, telling me to kill myself. Maybe not so much me, but I'm sure someone like Jeremy McKenzie gets told threats and all stuff like every day. I'm sure that happens all the time. But of course, for this Asian woman who's fighting racism, it's the worst week of my life. And the thing is, this is kind of their economy. This feeds into their economy. Their victimhood, their feeling bad about it feeds into, probably their industry and literally helps them make money because it's the feelings economy, right? It's the feelings economy. And the more they emphasize how hated they feel and how bad they feel, the more it becomes, it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy. It becomes this, what do you call it? So, like they commodify their victimhood and then they're able to sell it.
Thousands of people.
When people from a marginalized group tell you this is something that's happening, believe them.
Dumb Chinese. Yeah, that one's scarier,
Come on, guys. Hey, be serious.
There's a lot of scary misogyny, violence.
They're saying all these things, all this.
Scary misogyny, violence. It's an internet comment. Once again, it's like that's the most scary misogynistic thing you're going to see in Canada. Aside from, Muslim immigrants who just got off the boat, the most scary misogynistic thing you're going to see is an internet comment. I think Canada's doing pretty good. And that's the thing that's so crazy about stopping hate in Canada and all this nonsense. The whole meme of Canadians being nice is real. Like that's a real meme. They're like, Canadians are very respectful and tolerant. That's a real thing. Yet, It's like, oh, we need to stop the race. We are the least racist country. We're probably easily the least racist country. And I know that I'm like going against my own logic here of like, you know, validating the liberal morality here, but it's like, it's just so infuriating that, that like Canadians are buying into this idea that like, oh my God, we're so horrible. It's like, guys, we're easily the best when it comes to this in terms of being super tolerant and stuff, to the point where it's actually a problem. We actually need to stop being so tolerant all the time. But again, the only place they can actually find this racist misogyny is on internet comments. Nothing real, nothing.
Racist things, all these very dangerous, harassing things, because they think there's anonymity.
Erasing thing, harassing things, dangerous things. It's internet comments again. So this is, do I even, I'll finish it out, I guess. But this is what the Canadian Race Relations Foundation does. And there's other groups like it. But again, they try to distill victimhood and distill like online hate and make it seem like the worst possible thing. But this is a good visual representation of what it is. It's reading a computer. It's reading comments on a screen. Does she look in danger to you? Does this look dangerous? I don't think so.
But if they're no longer anonymous.
Okay.
Then...
Okay, that's fire. Jennifer Francis said, at least she can leave the house here. That's funny. She made it to this she made it to this shoot, you know? So there you go. You know, this her assuming presumably Muslim husband believes in equality. So that's good. Back home, she wasn't permitted to drive, says Thomas Gordon. See, this is the thing, right? You know, compared to other countries where a lot of these immigrants are coming from, and it's like, let's talk about the racism or the sexism there. I don't care, but it's like we're having this conversation, but they never want to make. This comparison is never made. Of course, it's again, they have a political agenda, so they omit things. They're just trying to distill this victimhood and push their nonsense to try and take away our freedom of speech. Cool.
Then I think people would think twice.
There are people out there who unfortunately are very hateful and could actually, you know, and hurt people because of what they look like or you know, how they talk. And that's not okay.
Okay, what about when the truckers got beaten up? What about that? Remember when the truckers got beaten up for saying, hey, I don't want to take... What about what you believe in? What about being beaten up for what you believe in? Persecuted for what you believe in, which is, I don't believe I need to take this injection. Getting beaten up for that is A-okay, right? Oh, but all those people were racist according to you. I can understand why someone called you a dumb Chinese bitch. I'm not saying that I would say that, but that's the empathy. I'm finding the empathy. I can empathize with why someone would call you that. And once again, this is a great representation of antihate.ca and how they emphasize all of this victimhood narrative, all of this horrible stuff, you know, internet comments. But when, you know, people who oppose the mandates were dehumanized, persecuted, bank accounts frozen, beaten up by police, in some cases attacked by Antifa members, no one fucking cares about that part. That stuff doesn't matter. And that's all real violence, or at least like real consequences of persecution, bank accounts frozen. Like those are real consequences. Where is our interview with the nice gentle piano in the background? We don't got one. Well, except for some of the documentaries that have been made, but I will say though, in terms of like the political game, because I've been talking about like how the politics, like we need, you know, there is no political solution. Part of the political solution is going to be making our own sort of pieces like this of telling this story of persecuted Canadians. We kind of need to fight fire with fire because Canadians do respond to the gentle piano music in the background because we're only human. Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
Hashtag block hate to make online spaces safer for everyone. So the reason why this is so funny. This is actually great. This is great. We're actually going to screenshot this for later. Actually, I'll just get the link. This is why we're doing this, guys. This is why we're doing this. This is a good talking point. This is a great talking point. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to take a screenshot. What's funny about this is block hate. What's funny about block hate is it speaks to what this woman could do to solve her problem, which is, did some hateful asshole send a hateful message? Just block them! Just block them! Hit the block button! Just block! Hit the block button! That's all you have to do! Just don't read their tweets! Just don't read their email! Oh my God! Oh! Wait. So just block them? Just block them! So just don't continue reading the annoying person that's bothering me and making me feel shitty? Just stop reading what they're saying? Oh, wow. Imagine that. Imagine that. And I mean, it is funny that because that really is kind of what this person's problem was. It's like, imagine going online and reading every hateful comment about yourself and getting scared about it. I wouldn't want to do that. Do you know how much hate I got on TikTok when I made fun of trans people? That was when my first account got deleted, but it was getting shared everywhere and all these people shitting on me, hating on me. Imagine I took the time to read every single comment. What the fuck would be wrong with me? I would have a weird masochistic fetish if I were to go online and read every hateful comment that I got from some crazy liberal, progressive, trans, gay person. That would be insane. That would be insane to do that. But this woman is like, I read every email and it's horrible and they're after me and blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Just ignore it. Block it. Just block the person and move on. This isn't hard. This isn't hard. EdgyD TV says, I can't handle opinions that are different than mine own. Mine, though. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so that basically covers Canadian Race Relations Foundation. They try to distill hatred, or victimhood, and use that as a talking point for why we need to take away your freedom of speech. But we got a lot to get through, so let's keep it rolling here. Again, we're back to Arif Virani outlining Bill C-63. This is back from February, but he's going to give the best argument for why we need this bill. And he mentioned Canadian Race Relations Foundation, and that content is supposed to, justify taking away our freedom of speech. So,
all of us expect to be safe in our homes, in our neighborhoods, and in our communities. We should be able to expect the same kind of safety in our online communities.
That's a very interesting statement. And it's very reflective of sort of the absurdity of this bill.
To be safe in our homes. Online Harms Act, Bill C-63,
go over
that I
again.
just introduced today at first reading in the House of Commons. Thank you all for being here. All of us expect to be safe in our homes, in our neighborhoods, and in our communities. We should be able to expect the same kind of safety in our online communities.
This guy's never been in the COD lobby before. What does safety online mean? The reason why this dichotomy is important, safety in a public place in our communities versus safety online, is because they're safety in a physical space has to do with crime, has to do with violence, have to do with things that are already in the criminal code. But safety online, we need to be safe online too. It's okay, well, what does that mean? What is the danger online? There's danger from, I guess, scammers. There's danger from, again, they're trying to make the argument that hateful comments is dangerous. Okay. Not the same as being beaten up or being robbed in our communities. There's absolutely no comparison whatsoever. And what they try to do with this online community is they basically reduce it down to kids, safety, sexual exploitation. That's pretty well it, though. But anyway, let's keep going. We got a lot to get through here.
Nous voulons tous que nos enfants et petits enfants puissent parler que les plateformes. We know the standards that I just mentioned pour un débat en ligne robuste pour ceux qui veulent s'engager.
F's in chat if you understand French. How much of the audience understands French?
But we all know that our online world falls well short of the basic standards that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I totally disagree with that. This is a point I brought up earlier in the stream, but like big tech is so dialed in for censorship already. So yeah, like this is just straight up lies. This is just totally not true. It's such a crazy argument that the government makes to try and get more power. It's like, oh, these massive big tech platforms that are really well-oiled businesses that are way more profitable and efficient than us, they suck. They're actually terrible at keeping anybody safe. But we, the government, totally dysfunctional, with a history of total dysfunctionality. No, we're going to keep you safe online. Meta, Facebook, and Google don't know what they're doing. Yeah, a Google product and a Meta product has worked way better for me than anything that the Canadian government has cooked up especially in recent years.
Bad actors target our most vulnerable, our children. They spread vile hate and encourage impressionable people to commit violence. We know the harms we experience.
That is such a crazy sentence.
Our children. They spread vile hate.
They target our children. They spread vile hate.
And encourage impressionable people to commit violence.
Encourage impressionable people to commit violence. It's such a orgy of like different issues like into one sentence. It's very word salady. It's like a perfect like umbrella sentence to be like, yes, and the kids and the hatred. You don't like that, and maybe terrorism. Again, you got to respect the game here. Okay, this is rhetoric. This is rhetoric. They worked very, very hard on this, and this is what we need to dismantle and take apart here. Because yeah, we need to make, like, one of my goals is to make it absolutely laughable to not realize this bill is about government control, tyranny, and censorship. That's the goal. Anybody who doesn't think that, they should be laughed at, because it's clearly about that.
We know the harms we experience online can have real-world impacts, with tragic, sometimes fatal, consequences. And yet, so much of this goes unchecked.
I feel like that's not even true. A lot of this goes unchecked. Like when the Christchurch shooting happened, or like whenever there's like any sort of shooting that could be related to the right wing, they're constantly trying to associate it with stuff that happened online. It goes unchecked. like CNN has a heyday with all that type of stuff of trying to, that's just like another, oh, we've never talked about this before. Yeah, no, you've been pushing this for years now.
Explain what C-63 will do to make our online world safer, but is important for Canadians, including the Canadians watching right now, to understand why we are doing this. Mm-hmm. I know why I'm here before you today. I'm the father of 2 youngsters, and like parents and grandparents around Canada, I'm terrified by the dangers that lurk on the internet for our children. We have rigorous safety standards for things like my son's Lego at home. Yet somehow, none for the most dangerous toy, not just in my home, but every Canadian home, the screen that is in front of our children's faces.
So, Arif, you have 2 kids, you're worried about what's online. That's a valid thing. Again, we're here to steel man their argument. That's a valid thing. There is a lot of weird shit on the internet. What, I'm going to give my kid a device and they're like, how am I supposed to feel confident that they're not going to find some crazy stuff? Here's the problem. Arif, let's say they're, Arif is like, if Arif is just an independent dad, not a government official, and he wants to take care of his kids, would he seriously suggest? I think the government needs to babysit my children. I think the government needs to babysit my kids on the internet. Yeah, you know what? As a dad, I really think that some Ottawa bureaucracy is needed to protect my kids on the internet. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy. But again, he's doing a good job here. He's using his parents. He's hiding behind the kids. Hey, my kids are at risk. Don't you think we should censor the internet now? But I do want to say, I'm going to actually write this down because this is a real sentiment. I'm afraid of what my kids will find online. That's legit, man. That is a legit point that they make. You know, I got it. Part of why we're doing this is to, again, like really find the strong arguments that are going to resonate with people. And I guess like the strongest counter argument to that is, so the gov should babysit your children. They're gonna babysit your children's on the internet. Yeah, well, I don't want to do it. Let Justin Trudeau take care of my kid on the internet. Justin Trudeau's going to send you to makeup tutorials. They're going to teach your kids how to be trans, okay? This is another point we'll get to, but we got a lot to go through, so let's keep it rolling.
I'm also a Muslim. The hatred that festers online is radicalizing people, and that radicalization has real-world impacts.
This is such an interesting one. Like it's not the things happening in reality. You know, it's not like the organized grooming gangs in the UK that are largely operated by Muslims. It's not like the real rape. No, it's when white people talk about it on the internet. That's a real problem. That's a real problem when people see real information and get upset about it, or radicalized by it, right? That's interesting. That's interesting. But this, this is another alarming thing that maybe should be one of the major points of why this bill is going to be terrible. But we'll get to that later. There's a lot to get through. Let's keep it rolling.
For my community and for so many.
Oh, good point. Canada RV says there is online child locks. That's a great point. There is more and more technologies, not from the government, but from, private organizations or, I haven't looked up a lot of them, but I know they do exist, which is to safeguard your child from certain websites, to safeguard your child from certain, I think websites is the main thing, but you can, track their behavior on devices. And I think, this is a much larger conversation that should be had. Whenever I talk to a teacher or someone with kids, younger kids, I always ask them, I'm like, hey, do you have any protocols or standards with your kids when it comes to using devices? And I'm really scared when they say no, like they don't have any sort of standards of, when to let them use it, when to not let them use it. Oh, I just let them do whatever they want with it. That's terrifying to me. And I make the example of I'm a grown man. Sometimes I'm addicted to my phone, though. It's bad. Sometimes I'll be hooked on my phone. I'll be doom scrolling, whatever. And I think a lot of people have this issue. Like some people can't even go to the bathroom without bringing their device with them. Like this is a large societal issue. We haven't had smartphones for very long, guys. In the grand scheme of things, we have not had smartphones very long. And I think a lot of us are going to look at it like chain smoking in a way, in terms of, we thought smoking was totally fine, right? When smoking first became popular, well, not when it first became popular, but we always thought smoking was cool and everything. And it's only later did we realize the horrible, horrible health consequences. And I think that might be the same thing with smartphones, constantly being plugged in to Wi-Fi all the time, constantly being in touch with one another and being on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Like we're only going to see the negative consequences of this probably 20 years down the line when we have all the data or all the research on it. But no one talks about this now. No, like we're giving cigarettes to kids. We're giving smartphones to kids. That's crazy. And it's part of a larger, I think it's part of a larger valid conversation. But of course, once again, it's disingenuous. The government doesn't really want to have this conversation. They just want to use it as an excuse to control the internet, which makes this very despicable, makes it detestable, and even villainous, I would say. And we'll get to that in detestable and villainous in a second here.
Many other communities. Look no further than the killing of 4 members of the Afzal family, which a court in Ontario just last week described, and I quote, as a textbook act of terrorism, end quote. So there are...
I don't know much about this story, but it is, I guess I'll write it down actually to look into.
People. And that radicalization has real world impacts for my community and for so many other communities. Look no further than the killing of 4 members of the Afzal family, which a court in Ontario just last week described, and I quote, as a textbook act of terrorism, end quote. So there are many reasons for me and my parliamentary colleagues to take action today, but I do not want you to hear only from me. I want you to hear why this work is urgent from people who have experienced the worst of the internet, the trauma of child exploitation, or the pain of being subjected to hate and vilification. Despite their personal traumas, Jane and Carla.
Right. So those, I guess those are kind of like the 3, that's the trifecta that he referred to at the beginning. Terrorism, child exploitation, and then hate, which is the weakest one. Just the pain of being hate and vilified online. Again, just walk away from the computer, bro. Walk away from the computer. And of course, it's also, there's lots to get into. Okay, Trent Dabbs says, I think the story is about the guy that drove his truck over a family for a walk. Okay, so it was the one that happened in London, Ontario a couple of years ago, right? I was wondering about that. I need to see that court decision. But once again, he's front-loading it all with tragedies or bad things that have happened and saying this is why we need to censor the internet.
Have bravely come here today to share their stories in the hope that through our shared work, none of you, your kids, or your grandkids will have to go through what they did. I want to invite Jane to come to the podium and say a few words. But before she begins, I want to caution people that are watching online and caution the people that are in this room right now that her story deals with a very difficult but very important subject matter. Jane?
Content warning.
Thank you, Minister, for your warm introduction.
I've seen this before. And yeah, I'm probably going to freak out in a minute. I'm going to try to remain as calm as possible. Okay.
My name is Jane. I'm a mother whose little girl has been sexually abused and on account of the abuse has also become a victim of sexual exploitation.
So I know this is a very powerful testimony, but let's get things in the right order here. Okay. First, she was sexually abused, and then the content was spread online.
I'd also like to acknowledge and state that I may be one mother, but one of countless who could be standing here and sharing their stories with all of you. I want to let you know how burdensome sharing my daughter's story will actually be for me. I'd like to provide some insight and perhaps describe a few details of the horrific sexual abuse my little girl has had to endure. Her life since the abuse has been far from manageable. The unending pain and trauma completely engulfs every part of her body. She was just a toddler when one day evil stamped itself upon her. Just a young child that had no choice but to solely entrust her life to the hands of an adult.
Okay. Trusting her life to the hands of an adult. Where did this adult come from? How did this sexual abuse happen? What does this have to do with the internet?
An adult who was supposed to protect her from harm.
Okay. So this is a trusting adult that is close to your daughter. How did this trusting adult get there? Again, what does this have to do with the internet?
Teach her right from wrong and love her in such a manner that cultivated and enforced a future of what a healthy relationship was supposed to look like.
Wow. So this adult was very much entrusted with your daughter. Did you find this person online? Where did this person come from?
In her preschool to kindergarten years, she was told or taught to believe that sex or sexual actions between children and grown-ups was completely acceptable and normal.
How did this happen? How did this happen? Who was teaching her this? Was it Justin Trudeau? Was it all this crazy gender stuff, which the Liberal Party pushes?
Some days, instead of watching cartoons, she would spend her time with a presumably trusted adult who normalized child pornographic material.
This story is so horribly vile. It's a crime. Her daughter was a victim to a pedo, a predator, a horribly vile, detestable, villainous person. The question is, how did that part happen? Because it sounds like a typical, they say that the actual predators are people who are trusting and close to your kids already. They just want to keep them safe, right? And I'm saying all this because I know that none of these questions get addressed. And it's just totally despicable. It's totally despicable that Arif Virani, to justify his legislation to censor the internet, he's using a distraught mother whose daughter was a victim to sexual exploitation, a sexual predator. In real life, this happened. Nothing to do with the internet, nothing to do with any of that. Unfortunately, this person got close to her daughter and ruined her life. Censoring the internet would not prevent that from happening. Any of the legislation in this Bill C-63 would not prevent that from happening. Think about how disgusting this is in terms of a tactic. Oh, hey, was your daughter like a horrible victim to some disgusting sexual predator? Great, we're going to use that story to justify this speech bill. Make sense? Okay. And it's like, you know, her naivety is probably being exploited here. She's talking like, you know, she's drinking the Kool-Aid of the sort of argument that we're going to keep kids safe. But anyway, let's keep watching.
This normalization took place by subjecting her to possibly hundreds of child exploitation videos repeatedly at any opportune moment.
Once again, the person is with your daughter. They didn't jump out of an internet screen, okay? They were like the unfortunate reality is they were trusted to babysit your daughter. We're dealing with a sexual predator. We're dealing with a crime that's already a crime that is totally despicable and everyone should, quite frankly, hate. And yeah, this bill does not address what happened to your daughter, the initial abuse, the initial sort of grooming that happened.
With the help of various child sexual abuse material, she was deliberately raped by her abuser over and over again. Based on evidence collected by law enforcement, it could possibly be determined that she was raped and sexually assaulted on a daily basis. She was between the ages of anywhere from 3 to 6 years old.
Again, this is so disgusting that they're using this vile story of something that happened in real life, not on the internet. Sure, they watched stuff on the internet, but this is a sexual predator meeting a young girl and grooming her, okay? That is horribly despicable, and this legislation has nothing to do with stopping something like that.
Raped in such a way that she was instructed to believe that this was normal. To prevent her...
Again, sophisticated grooming of a child by a horribly disgusting person who should be shot or in jail.
From telling anyone, her abuser told her that it was just their little secret. Quite often she was bribed with candy as well. When this initial abuser was caught, they admitted the abuse had spiraled out of control.
You think?
They had become desensitized to child rape themselves.
So we're giving sympathy to the pedophile now? Really? You serious?
Child and child sexual abuse material. They admitted they were always hungry for more.
Yeah, because they're a monster. They're a monster. And Bill C-63 has nothing to do with stopping what this monster did to your daughter. You're being used by this liberal minister crook.
My child's understanding of what happened to them is greater than they wish they could remember.
Yeah, I mean, that can't be put into words. What, like, the effect of sexual abuse on a child cannot be put into words. But anyway, man, this poor woman being exploited by this motherfucker right here. That's crazy.
The extent of the damage that was done to her in the moment and that continues in the present is incalculable. My little girl has countless flashbacks that haunt her while she sleeps.
And this bill cannot prevent that from happening. It's unfortunate, but think of how disgusting a sexual predator like this is. You think a little internet bill is going to stop them from, again, gaining your trust, getting close to young, young. It's just so frustrating because, like, none of this is addressed. The fact that your child was a victim to a horrible sexual predator, and that is the problem. That was the crime. That was the thing that we should be wanting to prevent. But instead, it's like, anyway, so we're going to add all these rules to online speech, what you can and can't say, and that'll prevent it next time. No, it won't. You're just using this horrible story as an excuse to try and gain control over the internet. It's so despicable.
She is anxious and scared. She is unable to even leave the house alone. She is fearful of people. The abuse that happened to her is in hyperactive state and is continuously traded and is known as a series of child sexual abuse material that is circulating on the internet. Child predators have saved and shared images and videos of her tiny body lying naked and contorted in inappropriate ways. Her privates are no longer private. Her smile, her laughter, and her innocence have all been taken from her. How she is portrayed in those pictures and videos is not how she wants to be perceived.
No shit. How she's depicted in these videos is not how she wants. I mean, this testimony goes into the depths of the evil. It goes into the depths of the evil of a sexual predator exploiting a child. Okay. And once again, what's the root of the problem here? The root of the problem here is a sexual predator was able to win this mother's trust to the point where she let this sexual predator have a lot of access to her child, a lot, and honestly, it must be so hard for this mom to, like, I hate to say it, but, like, live with yourself after that. Like, she trusted this person and fucked up like that, man. And you know what? And then Arif Virani swoops in and says, like, hey, we'll make it all better. Just tell your story and we'll stop this from ever happening again. What a piece of shit, honestly.
She says to me, that little girl is dead. All the child molesters, pedophiles, and their associates who take it upon themselves to download, view, save, and share my child's inappropriate pedophilia abuse material have taken part in murdering her.
Once again, this is all already illegal. Child pornography is illegal. It's all illegal. All these things that, obviously it's horrible, but, like, all this stuff is already illegal. And yeah.
Yes, murder. She refers to it as murder because the perpetrators blatantly premeditated their motives and actions against her. Those individuals that possess her child sexual abuse products should be held accountable and take full moral responsibility.
Okay. So this is crazy because she's talking about the people who are consuming the content, the horrible content of her daughter being sexually exploited, but again, is not addressing the person who won her trust and actually exploited her daughter to begin with. The actual like initial first crime that happened. It's to me, that's such a crazy sleight of hand that now they're like, yeah, the people consuming the content are the real bad people. And of course they are, but it's like your child initially getting exploited by this horrible monster. That's the first thing that we should be trying to stop. It almost implies that the consuming of the content is the worst part. No, it's all bad, but how it started is the root cause, is the root problem. Hello? And if you are some sick sexual predator who's into that stuff, you're probably on the dark web and stuff, and you can try to avoid all this censorship anyway.
Because of people like them, she has secluded herself from enjoyment of a fulfilled life.
Once again, it's not the people, it's the initial abuser. What?
Is the only coping mechanism she believes she has to protect herself. She feels that she is damaged beyond repair. She wants the abusive material to vanish. She mentions that even when she is truly dead, the material will still be somewhere in existence. The evolution of technology is her nemesis.
I mean, I talked about how it's victim porn. This is really like, this is probably the best of the best. Once again, Arif brings this horribly vile story, and you can't help but feel something and be like, this is awful. What's happened to this woman and her daughter. But once again, this is all just being steered in the direction of passing a bill that will end free speech in Canada. This is vile because it's using the totally evil situation to justify more evil. It's like, hey, this evil thing happened. We're not going to actually address the root cause of the evil. We're just going to use your story to be more tyrannical, actually. So, yeah.
To vanish. She mentions that even when she is truly dead, the material will still be somewhere in existence. The evolution of technology is her nemesis. She cannot escape the abuse, nor can the abuse escape her. My child has suffered in silence for far too long. She should not be ashamed. Neither should she feel guilty of the personal attack that takes place on the uncontrolled internet. My little girl is everything. As her mother, I've made the decision to remove my protective layer to fight for her. I am her advocate as well as her voice. She never had a choice as a child. She has been illegally trafficked on the internet. Her CSAM runs rampant all over the internet. My little girl is not solely a victim of hands-on offending.
Again, why aren't you talking about that part more, though? You're not talking about that part of the hands-on assault that happened. Like you talked about it in great detail, but you're not talking about how that was the initial mistake.
She never had a choice as a child. She has been illegally trafficked on the internet. Her CSAM runs rampant all over the internet. My little girl is not solely a victim of hands-on offending.
But that was the worst part of it. Was it not? The hands-on offending was probably the worst part of it.
She is re-victimized every single time her child sexual abuse material surfs throughout the dark web.
This stuff's already illegal.
Canadians care about their children. They have been put in an unwanted place where they have no control over how their children's lives are damaged by the weaponized use of technology.
Once again, what about the root cause? What about the root cause of sexual predators exploiting children and winning your trust as a mother? That is the problem, is it not? Like, God. And once again, like all this stuff you're talking about of redistributing it is already illegal.
Does Canada not have a responsibility to protect the future of our children? Should my child be a slave to fear for the rest of her life?
I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but like, she is right. The damage is done. Like, you can't undo childhood sexual abuse. You can't undo that. And I just feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like it's the fact that it's redistributed online is kind of an afterthought. Like, I feel like the actual experience itself is enough of a trip for somebody to deal with. Because again, that's the hands-on part. That's the actual, remember the thing that Arif said at the beginning? Well, if we feel safe in our communities, we should feel safe online too. This girl wasn't safe in her community because she was exploited by a sexual predator. And that's the initial problem here of how all this happened. We should all feel safe in our communities. This child was not safe in her community. So let's start with that. But no, we're going right over to no. That's why we got to control the internet. That's why we got to control the internet. That's why we got to control the internet. Because hey, my daughter got exploited by a pedophile. Now we have to control everything on the internet and not actually start to, I don't know, hunt the pedophiles and like create legislation to try and find these people.
Fear is the cause of my child's paralyzed future. At what expense do Canadians prioritize their so-called freedom?
What? Hold on.
Fear is the cause of my child's paralyzed future. At what expense do Canadians prioritize their so-called freedom?
At what expense do Canadians prioritize their so-called freedom? I don't even know what to say to that. It's implying that unless we pass this legislation, pedophiles will be free to do whatever they want to do. And it's like, pedophiles are already doing what they're doing, and this legislation wouldn't stop it. It's honestly, this stuff is infuriating. This stuff is infuriating, but I hate to admit it, it is very well written. Because if you're somebody who doesn't know what's going on, you're totally captivated by your story, and you're like, we need to do something about this. And that's how this is designed. That's how they've designed to try and spearhead this bill.
I am standing here today because we need a culture of lawfulness that strongly enforces internet regulation. The unregulated internet has damaged my child and countless children across the country.
That is the craziest sentence and summary probably of them all. The unregulated internet hurt my child. No, a pedophile hurt your child and broke the law many times. Like the sexual exploitation, that's probably sex. I don't know the specific laws, but like the actual abuse itself, the recording of the abuse, the distributing of the abuse. Those are all already illegal, horrible things. And you're saying it's the unregulated internet that did this. No, it's not the unregulated internet that did this. It was a sexual predator who knew what he was doing that did this. It's evil. It's awful. Everyone who has a heart strongly disagrees with what happened to your daughter. But it wasn't the unregulated internet that did this. It was a pedophile who was connected to another network of pedophiles that do their thing of operating like pedophiles do. I don't know how it works, but it's, once again, the root cause of this horrible, horrible, evil story is totally brushed aside in favor of this tyrannical agenda. Let's hear it again.
Is their so-called freedom. I am standing here today because we need a culture of lawfulness that strongly enforces internet regulation. The unregulated internet has damaged my child and countless children across the country.
The unregulated internet has damaged my child. I mean, again, it skims over so many details. because I'm sure the content of her child being this like sexual abuse material, I'm sure it has been regulated in some way. I'm sure it was illegal, or maybe it wasn't, which goes to my point that I brought earlier, which is if Arif Virani was serious about protecting kids online, he would name them. He would name MindGeek. He would name the like large porn site beast company that lives in Canada, that operates in Canada. But he doesn't. He just said, no, broadly, the internet, we're going to save the internet from all this. We're going to stop the pedophiles in real life by censoring stuff online. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Wow. Hey, good job, Arif. You just used that woman's story to try and push your political agenda. Do you feel proud? You feel proud, buddy? Good job, guy. Motherfucker, man. It's villainous to do that. Villainous. Oh, was your child sexually assaulted by a pedophile? I'm going to use your story to push this tyrannical bill. Okay? Cool. Hey, here's the script. Read it.
Thank you, Jane, for being here and for having the courage to share your story and your family's story. And I'll say to you quite candidly that it is those kinds of stories that inspire us to do the work that is necessary today. As Leanna from the Canadian Centre for Child Protection can tell you, Jane's story is unfortunately not actually unique. It is shocking what is available online. Protecting our kids, all kids, from this kind of abuse and exploitation is what governments must do, and we will do that. Malheureusement, ceci n'est qu'un des défis auxquels
Mon histoire n'est pas unique.
So I'm pretty sure this black woman, it's all in French.
Not be silenced anymore.
Oh.
Mon histoire n'est pas unique, au contraire. Mon histoire est celle de.
So any French users in chat? Any French speakers in chat? I can't. I don't know if there's English subtitles. Is there English subtitles?
Tant de femmes qui sont traquées sur les réseaux sociaux et qu'on tente de réduire au silence à tout prix parce qu'elles défendent des idéaux de justice sociale. On parle de haine en ligne, on parle de violence.
I'm a stupid anglophone. I don't understand. Yeah, sorry.
Sont pour la plupart du temps impunies. La liberté d'expression ne devrait jamais être érigée
it has something to do with. I bet it has
fondamental.
something to do with racism. I have a feeling. And I hate to do this to you guys, for the French speakers. I need to run to the bathroom, so maybe try and figure it out. Talk amongst yourselves in chat if you understand the French. I don't know.
Des impacts psychologiques énormes. Il ne faut pas banaliser ces actes, car la haine est aussi précurseur de violence. Aujourd'hui, j'ai la chance d'être devant vous et de partager mon histoire et de mettre un visage humain sur les effets de cette haine qui ne diminue pas et qui prend de plus en plus d'ampleur. Mais combien n'ont pas cette chance? Combien de vies ont été brisées? Combien ont abdiqué? Combien nous ont quittés? Le projet de loi déposé aujourd'hui n'est que le début d'une série d'actions nécessaires qui, je l'espère, nous protégeront de ce fléau qu'est la haine en ligne et sensibilisera la population sur ses effets dévastateurs. La haine est une menace pour notre sécurité, notre démocratie et nos droits en tant que Canadiens et Canadiennes. La liberté d'expression ne devrait jamais être érigée comme droit fondamental quand elle détruit des vies. Ma vie a basculé depuis 2020 et je ne crois pas que je pourrais être complètement guérie des traumatismes que je porte encore en moi. Mais la journée d'aujourd'hui me donne espoir. Espoir que la banalisation et l'impunité de la haine en ligne ne seront plus acceptées. Et j'aimerais rajouter, hors de mon texte écrit, que prendre la parole aujourd'hui pour moi est un acte nécessaire, pour ma fille. C'est grâce à elle que j'ai été capable de passer à travers ce que j'ai vécu, mais aussi dire à toutes les femmes noires qui vivent ces moments, de ne pas rester silencieuses. Pour moi, le projet de loi aujourd'hui
Okay. Who's got the translation? Who's got the translation, guys? I learned a little French when I went to Montreal for no reason, though everyone speaks English anyway. True North is promoting our savior, Pee-Pee. Yep. Derek Nelson said something that people are agreeing with. Where's Derek? If you're going to bust the internet, get rid of porn, not free speech. I mean, hey, that's real. Real. Like, if the conversation was more focused on that, that would be more interesting. I would maybe be more supportive of that. But, as we'll see, as we'll see in the question period when he starts to get questions soon. You can see when he makes all of his gestures. You see all that bullshit. All the questions are basically about the speech. Like, it has very little to do with the whole sexual exploitation thing, which kind of just shows you what's actually going on with this bill. And like, it's important to do this because this is, we're breaking down we're dismantling, if you will, the Trojan horse, because the whole Trojan horse is we're going to protect kids. And, this is the best that they got. It's honestly, it's not bad. They're using a story of a poor young girl getting exploited by a pedophile to try and push this bill through. It's despicable, but it's going to work on a lot of people. And it's my job, it's our job to start dismantling that now ahead of time, because the Conservative Party is just going to wait around. Oh, are they passing this bill? It's going to be the end of free speech. Oh, let's talk about it for 1 week. And it passed already, but hey, just vote for me when Trudeau gets in. Okay, guys, then I'll get rid of that bill. Okay. Oh, sorry. Did I only give a fuck when it was like way too late? I'm sorry, guys. Well, Trudeau bad. Bring it home. All right, let's keep going. Look how disingenuous that hug was. Holy shit. Like, what the?
Nous donne la possibilité de
That's
pouvoir...
crazy, dude. Look how fake that hug is. He didn't feel that at all. He's just a...
Merci beaucoup, Carla, pour
merci
pour
beaucoup.
votre courage et pour votre message sincère et direct. Mesdames et messieurs, ces deux histoires expliquent to protect children, agir.
Okay, there are the captions.
This is what the Online Harms Act will do. Under this bill, major online services will have 3 overarching obligations: a duty to protect children, a duty to act...
Okay. Big tech already does that. I'm sure they already do things to protect kids online. I haven't read all the rules and regulations for Meta, Facebook, Instagram. I'm pretty sure Instagram even banned like nipples and stuff. Anyway.
Responsibly, and the duty to remove the most egregious content.
Big tech definitely already does this. The major social media already does this. The only thing that you could say is X allows porn. So honestly, although like, hey, X is the big free speech platform, that's honestly one area where you could definitely criticize Elon Musk. Is he good at getting rid of that egregious content? I don't know. But, again, this is just the Trojan horse, but the fact of the matter is this idea that big tech doesn't already do this is crazy. But actually, I'll write this down as a note, actually, because this could be a good thing. How many people at Meta and Google, for example, how many people at Meta and Google, for example, who work there are dedicated to protecting kids, acting responsibly, which is like such a... Is that what he said?
Major online services will have 3 overarching obligations: a duty to protect children,
sure,
a duty to act responsibly, and the duty to remove the most egregious content. This bill targets the worst of what we see online.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's like big tech already does that. So what I'll find out is how many people at Meta and Google who work there are dedicated to doing just that. There's probably entire departments. There's probably like hundreds or even thousands of people who work for Meta and Google who are like dedicated to doing exactly that. So yeah, like this is very, very similar, by the way, to Bill C-11 and Bill C-18. For those who don't know, Bill C-11 was basically like the algorithm act, I like to call it, because the government was like, hey, we want to see how your algorithms work. We want to tweak your algorithm to help Canadian artists, was the excuse. But it's like, guess what? Big tech already is really good at catering an algorithm to the people. We don't need your help, Canadian government. But they're like, no, we're going to do it anyway. And then Bill C-18 is the Online News Act, which, again, it's like big tech already does all this stuff. The Canadian government just wanted an excuse to try and, get money from big tech, get a slice of the pie. And then also control. They want control over big tech because the Canadian media sucks and they don't have much viewers, and people go online to consume content, and they want that control back, right? They want to be able to control what people see and all that. And C-18 is an objective failure for you, because Meta and Google is like, okay, fine, we're just not going to play ball. There's not enough people in Canada, so we're just not going to show the news there. How do you like that? That just proves objective incompetence and just total bad legislation for C-18. That's actually, that's a great point. That's definitely going to be, needs to be emphasized over and over again, because it's like, we already have evidence of terrible legislation passing that is objectively bad. Like you can't even argue against that. And these are the same people that want to pass this bill with all the holes in it. Hey, super chat from Chris S. Great work. Thanks, Greg. Bill 63 needs to go. Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. Thank you so much, Chris, for the donation. And just to remind everybody, we are doing a fundraiser for a documentary all about the people behind Bill C-63 and what it's all about. You can go to givesendgo.com/savefreespeech to donate. Big thanks to everyone who's donated. Big thanks to Chris S., who just donated. Anonymous Giver says, you rock. Thank you, Anonymous Giver. Really appreciate that. I'm excited, guys. We can do this together. We can do this together. And I'm really excited for you guys to see the stuff that we're cooking up. Because there's a lot of good stuff on the horizon. But it's getting late here, and I'm drinking my sugary drink to get through this. Because there's a lot more to get through here. Back to Arif.
Overarching obligations, a duty to protect children, a duty to act responsibly, and the duty to remove the most egregious content. This bill targets the worst of what we see online, content that sexually victimizes children or re-victimizes survivors. So, said this already, that's already illegal? Pretty sure that's already illegal?
And yeah, I'm probably a broken record here at this point, but like that needs to be emphasized, because they keep bringing this up like sexual exploitation content of children. It isn't illegal already, and this really is so insulting that we're supposed to believe that this bill is going to protect kids online, when this is the type of stuff that's pushed by the same liberal Canadian government.
In regular times, her name is Bunny. But when she's in drag, whoop-bam! Madame Bunny.
This is CBC Kids News. CBC Kids. Okay. I'm not even watching this. That's disgusting. What? Who's exploiting who here? They're saying... This liberal minister is saying that, hey, we're going to protect kids from sexual exploitation. We're the liberal government. We're going to protect kids from sexual exploitation. You support the gay pride parades, where there's naked men with their genitalia in front of children. That's what the Liberal Party supports. They've never criticized that aspect of gay pride. Not at all. They would actually criticize anybody who points that out. They also support Drag Time Story Hour. Which, it's not sexual. Well, it's certainly going to mess with their heads and maybe let the kid Google something online later about it. Same with the gender bending curriculum. the Liberal Party loves this stuff. We know we need to be more open with kids. It's not sexual. They just, they might switch around their sexual genitals. They might say that they're a different sex altogether. Nothing to do with sex, though. We might encourage them to change their sexual organs. Nothing to do with sex, though. We don't want to sexually exploit kids, though. We don't want to expose them to any sexual material. It's fucking bullshit. It's so insulting. It's so insulting that they're presenting this bill and saying, we're going to protect kids from sexual exploitation. We're the Liberal Party. Fuck off. Fuck off. Crazy, man. Crazy. You're crazy, Arif. Nice try, though. This is going to be really fun. I can't wait to make more content about that, just exposing how despicable this is.
Major online services will have 3 overarching obligations: a duty to protect children, a duty to act responsibly, and the duty to remove the most egregious content. This bill targets the worst of what we see online: content that sexually victimizes children or re-victimizes survivors, intimate content shared without consent, content that incites violence, extremism, or terrorism.
There it is. We're getting right into the political suppression. Incites violence, extremism, or terrorism. Oh boy, lots to get into.
Content that incites violence or foments hatred, and content that is used to bully a child or induce a child to self-harm.
That's crazy. Yeah, wow. Like the speech laws are crazy there. I'm pretty sure there's 7 points in total that he outlines. I'm not going to write it down because I'm sure it's, I'm sure it'll come up again, but at least 3 of those are directly all about hate speech.
Content that sexually victimizes children or re-victimizes survivors.
Already
Intimate
illegal.
content shared without consent.
Already illegal.
Content that incites violence, extremism, or terrorism.
Hate speech.
Content that incites violence or foments hatred.
Incites violence, terrorism. Incites hatred.
And content that is used to bully a child or induce a child to self-harm. This bill will establish a new digital safety commission to make sure that online services comply.
Yeah, so incites violence or terrorism, incites hatred, or makes a kid want to kill themselves. So, yeah. The crazy thing is like what I just showed Drag Kids from CBC. That makes me want to kill myself. So, when I get to, will we stop the CBC from making me want to kill myself with this despicable content? But, I'm being facetious or whatever, but at the same time, Prairie says, how old is this video? So this is from February 2024, when this bill was first tabled. Okay. And I'm going over it because it gives the best arguments in favor of Bill C-63. So I'm taking the time to kind of go over all of it. What are the best arguments for this bill? And let's destroy it. Let's crush it. Let's just dismantle any of their arguments as being completely awful. But anyway, let's keep it going.
With their new obligations, as well as an ombudsperson to advocate for users and victims of online harm.
So this next part is all of the bureaucracy and regulatory entities that he wants to add to the big fat liberal Canadian government, basically being a bunch of boards people and ombudsperson that's connected to the Canadian Human Rights Court, and it's all just going to be a system of political oppression. But let's listen to it anyway.
Content that incites violence or foments hatred, and content that is used to bully a child or induce a child to self-harm. This bill will establish a new digital safety commission to make sure that online services comply with their new obligations, as well as an ombudsperson to advocate for users and victims of online harm.
See how they do that sleight of hand? Victims of online harm. If you're watching this for the first time, you're thinking that the poor child who is a victim to pedophilia, like child grooming IRL, child grooming in real life, you're now associating a victim of pedophilia to victims of online harm. He's inventing something, a victim of online harm. Like they're creating new language to try and validate and propagate their, this message, to try and propagate the moral argument to push this legislation through. And this is the big reason why I've started SafeFreeSpeech.ca, is because we need to counter that with our own messaging. And it's not going to happen overnight. It needs to be a continuous beating the drum, beating the drum, beating the drum. It's going to take time. We need to make a lot of noise to counter all of... They're making a lot of their noise of like, it's going to save kids, it's going to save kids. We need to make our own drum, our own speaker system to be like, no, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bullshit. And that's why we got to start early. We got to start in the off season in August. We got to prepare. We got to train. We got to train for September, guys. All right? Let's do it.
And prolifèrent malheureusement en ligne au Canada. De nombreux groupes sont ciblés par cette haine. Infraction, exploitation ne sait pas la liberté. C-63 adults. Le projet de loi C-63 ne fait pas. Il ne sait pas la liberté d'expression. Il renforce la liberté d'expression en permettant à toutes les personnes de participer en toute sécurité au débat en ligne. This bill empowers adults. Right now, where your posts go and what appears in your feed are dictated by platforms.
That's how the internet works. That's how the internet works, Arif. That's right. They're dictated by platforms. Yeah, the only reason that we can consume them is because the platform made them for us. But anyway, you guys completely missed the mark with Bill C-18, which is like, you need to pay us to spread the news. It's like, we are doing this for free. Facebook's like, we're doing this for free. What do you mean we need to pay you? Anyway.
Through this bill, we are restoring more of that power to you, the individual Canadian.
This rhetoric is crazy right now. How is he going to justify this? How is this empowering to adults? We're going to restore more of that power to you, the individual Canadian. Okay, how?
C-63, this bill does not wade in to your private communications. Private communications are exempted from this legislation.
Ironically, if you actually wanted to stop pedophilia, like maybe there would be some sort of like, hate to say it, but like if you're a sexual predator, you're going to be privately communicating to groom a child. You know what I mean? This is just to say, like, if it was truly about stopping the pedophiles, then, sorry, like, you're obviously not very serious about that if you don't think private communication is part of how that might happen. Anyway.
We know that there are powerful...
I don't think the government should, I don't want to give them an excuse to be looking at our private communications. But at the same time, as I said earlier, maybe this is part of a larger conversation. We're afraid of kids using technology. Okay. Maybe there should be an app where a child, or an adult rather, can see everything that their kids are saying. And then the adult can try to look at that or whatever. Then again, it's a much larger conversation. The point is they're clearly not serious about, stopping the pedophiles. They're serious about being tyrants, taking away our rights.
C-63, this bill does not wade in to your private communications. Private communications are exempted from this legislation. We know that there are powerful...
They want so many brownie points for that. Like, see, we're not tyrants. See, we're not tyrants. We're not getting into your private communications. We are so trustworthy. Yeah. Okay.
Organizations and people who may line up against this legislation. People with money and people with influence. My message to these people and these organizations is very simple. It is now the time to work directly with us. Profit cannot be prioritized over safety.
Yes, profit cannot be prioritized over safety. They love to vilify the big tech platforms for making money. And again, I guess that's a major point. They vilify the big tech platforms. You need the government to protect you from big tech. That's their argument. And again, kind of kind of compelling. If you're not following all this, I could see why that's like an easy bumper sticker for Canadian parents to buy into. Someone made a comment though. Frosty B. Rocks Insights. Disagree, Greg. There are plenty victims of online harm. And if you think this public space isn't real, tell those that are radicalized and go commit crimes due to online interactions and engagement. I mean, there are plenty of victims of online harm. I mean, can you give me an example? Because the thing is, you know, to quote Trump, the world is an angry place. Frosty B. Rocks Insights. You could easily say the same thing about, let me bring something up here. Okay. So, Frosty B. Insights. So is this Sir John A. Macdonald statue toppled and beheaded in Montreal at protest? So is this an example of people committing crimes due to online interactions and engagement? Like, how do we explain this? Like, is this a form of hatred? How do we police this? How do we stop this? Hey, I think Sir John A. Macdonald is racist. We should topple his statue. This is something that is obviously a popular sentiment in Montreal. They tore down his statue. Does that make it okay? Should we censor everybody who says that on the internet? Realistically, they say it on CBC probably more often, and by politicians who say we should cancel Canada Day. So, like, is that fomenting hatred? Oh no, it's okay. It's okay if the far leftists do it in politics in the House of Commons on the CBC. It's okay if they do it to their specific targets, but if right wingers do it and criticize Antifa or criticize, you know, gender indoctrination, then no, that's the bad type of radicalization. That's the bad. Like, no, we don't like that. That's not allowed. You know, free speech is supposed to be free for everybody. Okay, so like, do things that you see online, does that like radicalize people? I mean, I guess so, yeah, because that's the source of the information of the reality we're living in, right? So sure, people will see stuff online that will make them feel a certain way, just like when you watch TV or have an interaction with somebody, it's going to make you feel a certain way. Once again, it doesn't mean that we should give the keys of everything to the government. It doesn't mean we should just let the government handle everything. You know, and it's clearly ideologically biased, how they're going to enforce this. This is really what the documentary we're making is about, and other content. But yeah, it's anyway, let's continue. Profit over safety. These evil big tech companies, they're trying to steal all the money and radicalize the kids.
Right now, it is too easy for social media companies to look the other way as hate and exploitation festers on their platforms.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. Once again, that's crazy to say that big tech doesn't look into this stuff and stopping hate. The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League in the States, has, if I'm not mistaken, wait, let me get this right. Anyway, like it's this person clearly does not know what they're talking about in terms of big tech, in terms of how much they focus on this stuff and look into this stuff to the point where it's actually like bad. Like, it already is a crazy amount of censorship. Let's bring up Susan Wojcicki. Rest in peace, Susan. You know, she used to be the CEO of YouTube. There was a time during the pandemic where you could not talk about specific things having to do with COVID, having to do with the COVID, having to do with the shots, the injections. Okay. That was to be safe. There was already tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of censors in place on all of big tech to control the narrative, or at least control what people could say. And now he's saying, what did he just say?
Very simple. It is now the time to work directly with us. Profit cannot be prioritized over safety. Right now, it is too easy for social media companies to look the other way as hate and exploitation festers on their platforms.
Yeah, this is just such a crazy take, as if big tech doesn't already have all sorts of like censorship infrastructure in place. It speaks to the ignorance. It speaks to like the total and complete ignorance these legislators have toward the internet and big tech. And what's my piece of evidence for this? I mentioned this already. Bill C-18. Like, they passed legislation that is objectively a failure because the big tech just said, hey, fuck you. I guess you're not going to be sharing news on our platform because you don't get how the internet works. It's a free service. So, yeah.
This bill will require platforms to do their part and to do better to keep people safe from harm. And
I just love that leftist meme. Do better. You need to do better. Can you do better, please? You need to do better. This is about them doing better and us stealing your freedom of speech.
Exploitation, especially our children.
There you go. Brings in the children thing. I'm telling you, as much as I'm trying to pick this apart, this works on people, man.
Failure to do so will have a price. Significant monetary penalties.
Trying to get that big tech money.
This legislation does not come out of a vacuum. All of us standing here today know that it is a result of years, literally years of hard work.
Okay, so this is actually a good clip. I should write it down. I should be writing down the timestamps. 2317. This is a result of years, literally years of hard work. The reason this is a good gotcha is there's so many what ifs and question marks about the specifics of the legislation. So it's like, if this literally took you years, then why are there so many gaping holes in this legislation? You know, it took you years and you still have all of these gaping holes in the legislation. Not good. Not very good legislation. Hey, Frosty B, what are you talking about, bro? Way more informed? What are you informed with? Huh? Oh, Amanda Todd. Okay. So Frosty B was bringing up the case of Amanda Todd, who I guess is she killed herself when she was 15, a victim of cyberbullying. And you know that, I don't know, that's a sad story. I don't know what to say. I think the answer, though, once again, is not to just start to control the internet. I don't think that's the answer. I don't think the answer is, hey, we're going to now we're going to try to stop every kid from killing themselves by policing all content on the internet. I don't think that's the answer. I think that's a hysterical answer to, sure, a real problem. I think I kind of have a whole like diatribe probably on this, but I think the approach to bullying in general sucks because they emphasize victimhood. They emphasize, hey, you should feel like a victim. You should feel terrible. You should feel all these things. And to be fair, I don't know the whole story of Amanda Todd because it might have to do with like the revenge porn stuff. In which case, again, you know, there might be legitimate legislation that could be passed for that. The problem is with Bill C-63, it's being used as a Trojan horse to pass a whole bunch of bullshit that is going to be used to politically persecute people who have the wrong opinion. Because we know who's behind the bill. We know whose fingerprints are all over the bill. And yeah, it's the whole thing of protecting kids is clearly the Trojan horse example of it. And we're already seeing this, by the way, Mr. Frosty B, in the UK. You can look at what's happening in the UK right now, and their online Online Safety Act is being employed exactly how I think it will be here, which is if you have the wrong opinion about, crime and you post it on the internet, then you'll get arrested for it. So once again, like my response to that, Frosty B, would be, don't you think it's disgusting to take a child's suicide and the government using that to justify censoring the internet, censoring you? Like, they don't genuinely care about Amanda Todd. They don't genuinely care about this poor woman whose daughter was a victim to a sexual predator. They're using these people to gain power. That should upset you. Sure, are these tragic things that have happened? Sure. But these despicable politicians are using this sad story to take away your rights. No, not going to happen on my watch. Not going to happen. But that's a good point to bring up, though, because that could be a good point that people bring up, because I do kind of remember that story. So thank you for the ammunition there, Frosty B. I know exactly what's happening in the UK. Meanwhile, you spout inaccurate propaganda. Okay, buddy. Okay. Good talk. Good talk.
Research and consultation with stakeholders, with experts, with international partners, and average Canadians who are concerned about the well-being of their families, their neighbors, and their communities. The message that all of those people have sent to us is loud and it is unequivocal. Doing nothing is not an option. They are absolutely right.
Interesting. We have to do something. Doing nothing is not an option. That's pretty good. I gotta say, it's pretty good rhetoric. It's pretty good rhetoric, not gonna lie.
Join allies like the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Australia, who have also legislated in this area.
We need to take away their freedom of speech, you guys. We need to. We totally need to.
Learned from their experiences. We cannot tolerate anarchy on the internet. The cost is too great. The safety, the mental health, and even the lives of our kids and our most vulnerable are at stake. I'm confident with the Online Harms Act in law, we can build safe online communities where our kids can flourish, where illegal hate is contained, and where Germany, Australia, who have also legislated in this area, we have learned from their experiences. We cannot tolerate anarchy on the internet. The cost is too great. The safety, the mental health, and even the lives of our kids and our most vulnerable are at stake.
Okay. The anarchy of the internet is what makes it fun and what makes the internet interesting. You know? We can't have anarchy on the internet. I mean, that sentence only makes sense if you were like a tyrant who is obsessed with power and control. We can't have all this anarchy on the internet. There's people calling me fat there's someone live streaming about me right now calling me a liberal crook. Can you believe that? We can't have this anarchy. It's crazy.
I'm confident with the Online Harms Act in law, we can build safe online communities where our kids can flourish, where illegal hate is contained, and where citizens can fully engage in rigorous debate without fear of being targeted by threats, by violence, or by hatred.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So we can't have a real debate until all the right-wing people have been silenced. That's pretty well the translation there.
The safety, the mental health, and even the lives of our kids and our most vulnerable are at stake. I'm confident with the Online Harms Act in law, we can build safe online communities where our kids can flourish, where illegal hate is contained, and where citizens
The illegal hate is contained. That's crazy. Is it legal hate or illegal hate? Hey, this is legal hate, guys. This is legal hate. I'm only disdaining the person. I'm not detesting them. It's so stupid.
Engage in rigorous debate without fear of being targeted by threats, by violence, or by hatred.
Yeah, this argument is so funny. So we're going to hear it in a second later, but basically, this bill is actually for freedom of speech because people can now debate without threats of violence or hatred. And that was actually stopping people from debating before. I think what's stopping people from debating is the political correctness in this country. It's crazy how people self-censor themselves constantly because of political correctness. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to upset anyone. That's what's stopping people from debating. That is by far the much bigger sort of authoritative threat to people to stop them from speaking out. It's political correctness, not wanting to ruffle any feathers, not wanting to upset people. That's why people don't debate more in this country. But no. It's you know what's going to help people debate more? Once we silence all of the right-wing people we don't like. Just helping translate here. I saw a funny comment earlier. Someone said, hey, Greg, why aren't you crying because of Frosty B's hateful comments? That's pretty funny. He's just bullying me. He disagrees with me. I'm just trying to live my life, and he doesn't agree with me. He's saying that I wanted some 15-year-old to kill herself. It's horrible. He's attacking me. You know, we need Justin Trudeau to handle this. I don't know who this commenter is, but he's coming after me, and we need Justin Trudeau to silence him. I don't like him. I don't like him. He makes me feel unsafe. So Justin Trudeau needs to ban his Instagram account. It's the only way. All right, let's keep going. Lots to go through here still. Whoa.
This work is just beginning. It is a long path ahead, and I have no doubt there will be challenges. But I believe, along with the people standing right behind me, that this cause is worth it. I would be happy to take your questions.
Minister, can you take...
It's worth it. This is just the beginning.
Us through the thinking of extending the maximum sentence on inciting genocide to life in prison. Is that too much?
So I love how the first question is like directly into a speech issue that's in this bill that he said nothing at all about, really. Yeah, let's hear what his answer is.
What I would say to you is that we put a lot of thought into many aspects of this bill. There's an aspect that deals with the commission that's being created, and there's aspects that deal with the criminal law. We are creating a new freestanding hate crime offense. We are enhancing the penalties, as you mentioned, for the hate crime offenses that exist currently. And we're also ensuring that a peace bond could be procured for somebody who there's a reasonable likelihood will create a hate crimes offense. With respect...
See, it's the questions start and everything he said is like now totally like almost alien to this entire presentation. It's just gone straight to there's going to be a hate crime offense, another hate crime offense, a reasonable likelihood will create a hate crime offense. It's like total alien to what he was just talking about presenting the bill. Now that they get asked kind of a good question, he's like, yeah, no, there's a whole bunch of legislation to like silence people basically. Yeah. And while we're, this is kind of good. She talked about call to genocide. For those who don't know, From the River to the Sea is now considered a call for genocide, according to B'nai B'rith Canada, which is a Jewish organization. And this has been picked up by a lot of politicians and like mainstream media. So it's like a call to genocide is also like debatable. Like you can like redefine what a call to genocide is. And this is obviously important because if a news organization said, hey, they have to go back, is it called the genocide? If some fuckhead politician or journalist says that's a call to genocide, actually, or Or like, I think we should stop mass migration. That's a call to genocide. All of a sudden, let's say somebody, some jerk off journalist says this. So wait, now I can go to jail for 100 years. Saying it out loud is crazy. Now I could go to jail for 100 years for like having this opinion or saying these, like, this simple phrase that really is not objectively explicitly calling to genocide, but because some jerk off journalist called it that, now it is a call to genocide. Slippery slope. Obviously, when you get into this stuff, it's just like you could drive you couldn't just drive a truck. You could drive an entire convoy of trucks through the loopholes in this legislation. But let's keep going.
Respect to genocide, what I know as a lawyer, as minister, and what I've learned from the stakeholders and the experts whom we have consulted is that there is a determination to demonstrate at the highest level that the maximum penalty for a crime such as advocating or promoting genocide should be increased. That penalty, as it stands right now, when you proceed by way of what's called an indictable offense, is 5 years. We are saying that at a maximum, that should be elevated to 25 years. There will remain a range that's available to the judge that is disposing of the case, that is a range that it can reach.
Again, totally alien to what we were just talking about. He's like, yeah, so for words that you speak with your mouth, yeah, it's 5 to 25 years in jail for saying something. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's protect kids. Protect kids. You know, but like we're throwing people in jail for saying the wrong thing. But yeah.
As high as 25 years. It will depend on the context, but there's no doubt in my mind, particularly now where we are as a country, that people who advocate genocide need to understand that that is a very serious matter, and that is a matter that could be penalized at the highest level.
Yeah, and once again, you know, when you have like articles like this flying around of like this is going to be called genocide now. Slippery slope. If you can redefine what calling to genocide is, that's just a massive loophole, right? Massive loophole. But they don't care about this. They're power-hungry tyrants. So.
How did you determine the 24-hour takedown rule would only be for child sex abuse images as well as a non-consensual sharing of images? Like, how did you kind of arrive that those two were the ones that you keep that in there for?
Yeah. So we literally consulted upon this, and you and other journalists in this room have asked me.
We literally consulted on this. Literally.
Minister, where's the bill? You've been working on it for a long time. And you're right, we did work on it for a long time because we had to get it right. So we heard from those extensive consultations over literally years about the different types of content that we need to address, and there were 7 in total. And what we heard is that you need to look at international examples. Australia had tried a takedown provision across many types of content. Germany had done that across the board. They've since resiled from that and moderated their position to move to what's called a risk-based analysis. But what we heard is that we need to address certain types of content, but for the two that you mentioned, the issue of child sexual exploitation material and the non-consensual sharing of intimate images, what is known as revenge porn, so that we can be clear with Canadians, is that there's no space, there's no tolerance in the public domain for that kind of material, and that kind of material needs to be brought down immediately.
So I think I saw Runkle. I think his name's Ian Runkle. Maybe you've seen him on YouTube. He's a lawyer. Talks a lot about Canadian law and gun rights and stuff. But I saw him on a podcast. I don't know if he was talking about this specific part of the bill, but he was essentially saying, you know, there could be room in this legislation to just, you know, let's say even the clip from the Toronto Pride Parade where there's this person exposing their genitals to kids. It's part of the parade, but like that clip could be considered sexual exploitation towards children, and then they would take that down. And, you know, it would be kind of nice to have less of those clips clogging up my conservative Twitter feed. However, what if that clip is like evidence? You know what I mean? What if it's like evidence of like, hey, I caught a pedophile doing something horrible in public. Like, we need to identify this guy or arrest this guy, or, you know, this is a piece of evidence that people should know about. Like, look out for this person, or like, you know, just to kind of proliferate a warning of this piece of content is actually evidence, and I want to use social media to amplify it. Technically, under this bill, it could be actually something that would help suppress that clip, suppress, you know, identifying the person or what have you. And maybe that sounds like totally out there, but it's like when you make legislation, you kind of have to account for stuff like this. You know, when you're making legislation that's going to basically try to control all content on the internet, you kind of need to account for these loopholes and this potentialities. So...
graphique de votre projet de loi, comme ce que propose la sénatrice Miville-Deschênes avec S-210, pourquoi ça ne fait pas partie de votre projet de loi?
Mais je ne suis pas d'accord avec la question de tout parce que notre projet de loi touche l'exploitation des enfants d'une façon sexuelle. Ça touche la pornographie sexuelle que Jane vient de mentionner, qui a touché sa famille d'une façon directement. Et
la pornographie régulière ne serait pas touchée par votre projet de loi, je me trompe?
Non. Donc, ce qui est dans, c'est un grand projet de loi, je comprends, il y a beaucoup de détails là-dedans, mais ce qu'on vise avec ce propre projet de loi, c'est le fait qu'il faut protéger nos enfants. Donc, premier objectif. Comment on protège les enfants? C'est qu'on va créer une nouvelle responsabilité vis-à-vis les plateformes. Ceci dit que vous avez une duty to protect children, une obligation à protéger les enfants. Okay? Deuxième chose.
I'm learning French.
En termes de détails qui est dans le projet de loi comme tel, c'est un aspect où il faut promouvoir les mesures pour créer ou manufacturer des sites ou des plateformes qui sont appropriées pour un âge, age-appropriate design features. Ceci dit que c'est une conversation qu'il faut avoir, comment régler l'Internet.
All right, I can't follow the French. Sorry, guys. Sorry for my francophone listeners.
This doesn't apply to private messages, Discord, Snapchat, WhatsApp, and a lot of AI deepfakes or non-consensual images are shared there. Are you going to miss a lot of this because of that provision?
So what I would say to you is that, first of all, with
I fucking hate the journalists in this country.
respect to deepfakes, we thought about this, and in the intervening 2 or 3 years when we've been discussing and consulting about this, the emergence of AI has literally come to the forefront, showing how dynamic the internet is. And what we've done is we've legislated specifically in this bill the notion of deepfakes being included specifically in the context of intimate images that are being shared without consent. For the Canadians that are watching, think about what transpired 4 weeks ago with Taylor Swift. It's her head superimposed on a nude body. That is the same essence of what we are trying to address. We will address that, and that is included in the legislation. With respect to your specific...
Wow. They're not going to stop porn, but like specific types of porn that's AI generated, that's like really at the top of our list here.
Specific question, what I would say to you is that we heard about the nature of what had been done in some of those other countries that moved earlier than us on this very issue. And what we heard loudly and clearly, specifically in the context of the British debate that related to encrypted communications, is that they wanted to pierce that type of communication and address even that through their online safety bill. And they received a lot of negative feedback about the specific challenge that could have for freedom of expression.
You see, it's worth pointing out, like, for these legislators and these, crooks who are basically globalists trying to push an agenda, it's all about getting one past the goalie. They're trying to get something past the goalie, right? They're trying to slip in legislation that's going to take our rights away, but they need to get it past the goalie, as in like they need to like get the public to accept it or not catch on to their tricks. And that's basically what he just said here.
Heard about the nature of what had been done in some of those other countries that moved earlier than us on this very issue. And what we heard loudly and clearly, specifically in the context of the British debate that related to encrypted communications, is that they wanted to pierce that type of communication.
Pierce? Yeah, they wanted to rip the rights away, the privacy of UK citizens, but...
And address even that through their online safety bill. And they received a lot of negative feedback.
They received a lot of negative feedback. They're like, oh shit, we can't get away with this. We can't take away their rights that much. We can't take away their privacy completely. So, they caught on to that. They saved that one. They got a lot of negative feedback. And, we're just trying to push past this legislation to take away rights. And we can't have that type of negative feedback. So, that's why basically we didn't put that in there because we couldn't get away with it. Translation. We didn't put the private communications in there because we knew we could not get away with pushing our tyrannical bullshit if we had that in there.
about the specific challenge that could have for freedom of expression. What I would say to Canadians that are listening right now is that I have listened. Our government has listened. Where we were 3 years ago, to Stephanie's question, is that we were in a different spot where we thought we would identify categories and have takedowns across the board. What we've done is reflected on that, on the critical importance of it.
Oh, shit. Whoops. Fuck.
Hello?
Fuck, where the fuck was... Oh, God. Damn, I'm sorry, guys. Bullshit. Where the fuck was I? I was around
AI, deepfakes.
Okay.
Heard about the nature of what had been done in some of those other countries that moved earlier than us. Is that we were in a different spot where we thought we would identify categories and have takedowns across the board.
I mean, does this sound like does this sound like somebody who is trying to protect children?
For freedom of expression. What I would say to Canadians that are listening right now is that I have listened. Our government has listened. Where we were 3 years ago, to Stephanie's question, is that we were in a different spot.
Does this sound like somebody who wants to protect children?
Where we thought we would identify categories and have takedowns across the board. What we've done is reflected on that, on the critical...
We just thought we were going to take it all down. We were just going to, censor everything. That's what we thought. We want to just take it all down.
Importance of enhancing freedom of expression and promoting freedom of expression and ensuring that we calibrate this, and we are doing this now in a very measured and appropriate manner that addresses the harms as we see them, but ensures that Canadians' private communications will be exempt from this legislation.
Okay, that's a good clip to remember. So he just, I love making these guys look like idiots. They emphasize freedom of expression so much when they're talking bullshit. And then they have just so much of the press conferences no, yeah, all these people would go to jail and we're going to crack down on this and we really can't have a debate unless we censor these people, right?
Pourquoi est-ce que les messages qui incitent à la haine et les messages, par exemple, qui incitent au terrorisme, pourquoi est-ce que ces messages-là ne doivent pas être retirés?
Francophone, sorry.
Ce type de sujet-là. Ce qu'il dit, c'est que des peuples canadiens doivent les personnes du plus large la vie.
Yeah, on that hate crime offence, if you could just clarify, I mean, it comes with a potential penalty of life imprisonment. Could you just clarify for us how that would work? I mean, what kind of offences do you envisage could carry that kind of offence? And are you saying that it's no longer an aggravating factor, that it could be a standalone offence? But could you give us some examples of that?
Okay, so in terms of the second part of your question, we're not eliminating the aggravating factor.
Right.
But what we are doing, it's a little bit easier for me in English, what we are doing is creating a freestanding hate crimes offence, which touches any possible delict or crime under the Criminal Code of Canada. And I think what is important about it is that it gives...
Again, we're protecting kids from online harm, but we're also creating a standalone hate crime offense which we can glue to any existing crime. That's insane. That's such an insane... Huh? You want to protect kids online? Yeah, we want to be able to charge anyone who commits even a minor crime for hate crime as well, where we could just throw them in jail indefinitely. This is about protecting kids. Nothing to do with political persecution. Nothing to do with suppressing political opposition. Although it's kind of designed perfectly for that, but it has nothing to do. There's perfect loopholes to kind of justify anything we want with anyone we want to throw them in jail indefinitely if we don't like them. But it's about protecting kids. Yeah, we swear it's about protecting kids.
The police, and it gives prosecutors more flexibility in terms of contemplating this aspect on the front end of their deliberative exercise, on the front end of how they will conduct their prosecutions. Very importantly, this does not require AG consent. The other hate crimes components, promoting genocide, willful promotion of hatred, things like the anti-Semitism and...
Willful promotion of hatred? What the fuck? Is that actually in the bill? That's a really creepy phrase. The way that they're just trying to make it as if hate is always bad is just crazy. It's so anti-human to say that no one should ever hate anything. That's totally insane. It's a human emotion, by the way. So yeah.
Holocaust denial offense require the Attorney General's consent, as does the peace bond that I just mentioned. This provision is something that can be laid by
It can be initiated on an arrest warrant by a police officer and continued by the Crown, absent the consent of me or a provincial Attorney General. That is very, very important in terms of giving more tools to law enforcement, but secondly, it's important for denouncing what we are seeing right now. And that is critical. Everything you've just heard from people like Carla.
Denouncing what we're seeing right now. Like, that's so crazy. This is so crazy. How can he seriously say this has nothing to do with freedom of speech? This has nothing to do with any sort of political partisanship. By the way, we need to be denouncing what we're seeing right now. It's like, it's just bare to see. It's like, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. You slipped up here, man. That's a easy gotcha.
Everything that I have heard over the last year is that hate is on the rise in this country. We need to be providing more tools, not less, to denounce the hatred that we are seeing.
Wow.
And this will do exactly that.
Wow. It's about stopping hatred. There it is. Stopping hate. You need to stop hate, you guys. That's a good clip. 36:40.
How do you look at it? I'd like to understand.
Look at the body language here too. Look at the butt. Like he got really riled up here. He's very animated.
Carla,
He's very.
Everything that I have heard over the last year is that
he's tilted. He's a little bit tilted. He's getting pressed on this. He's agitated. He's hostile. Okay, it's about hatred. Seeing what and he even scratches. Oof. This guy does not have good intentions, let me tell you. Sethos Elkin says, hate naturally blinds reason, so not allowing hatred to direct actions is the key. Like we are told to pray for our enemies. Yeah, I mean, I agree with the sentiment of that. Like on a personal level, yeah, we should not be possessed by hatred. We should not be possessed by resentment. We should not be possessed by fear. But the point I'm trying to make, and that's important to this discussion, is people get angry. People hate. People get hungry. People eat. You know what I mean? Like it's very, it's a very basic human thing. And on a personal level, yeah, no, you shouldn't dwell in anger. You shouldn't dwell in hatred, because you're right. It does get blinding, and it can lead to awful things. I totally agree with that. What I disagree with is this idea, once again, that the government is going to police our emotions. They're going to say, no, you can't feel that way. Oh, no, you expressed that. That is considered hate, and that is now you're a criminal. Because, you know, it has to do with the whole like mind control stuff, or like, you know, the thought control stuff. Like, okay, well, I can't say that because that's offensive. And now you're not even like expressing what you hate. And if you don't express what you hate, you're not even really identifying with yourself. You're not even really defining yourself, because hatred is actually really important to defining who you are. For example, if your life is not going in the direction that you like it to, let's just say you're very upset with where you are in life for one reason or another. Maybe a relationship didn't go well. Maybe you don't like your job trajectory. Maybe you're in a crappy relationship. Maybe you're in a living situation that you don't like. And you hate yourself for it. You hate the situation that you're in. Or maybe you hate the person you're with. Or maybe you hate your roommate. And maybe that hatred for your roommate is actually supposed to be directed for you. The point is, that hatred is a roadmap. That hatred is a roadmap for what your values are. If you hate the relationship you're in because the person doesn't respect you, that means you value yourself, and you value a partner who's going to be more respectful of you. You only figure that out because you hated the situation. Hate is a very informative emotion. It tells us a lot about ourselves, about our situation, about what we like, what we don't like. And yeah, I think it was Kanye West who basically said, like, you know, you really can bond over bond with someone over a shared like hatred of something. And I know that's like messed up to say, but again, it's not so much about like, yeah, let's hate that thing, but it's more like, oh, I hate that too. We have the same values, right? And I gotta say, I just totally reject this idea that we need to walk on eggshells to like not hate anything. You know, when you grow up and you have an annoying brother or sister or like an annoying friend, oh, I hate that person. Oh, I hate this game. Oh, I hate having to wait for ice cream, whatever it is. I hate having to, you know, it's, although it seems like silly to bring that up, it's also like, it's part of the human experience. Sometimes when someone cuts you in line, you're like, I fucking hate this person. You're not going to like, you know, try to genocide them. But like in that moment, you're like, man, that really fucking pisses me off, right? And it's important to address this because, you know, the human experience, it's a lot. It's varied. Sometimes you say this, sometimes you feel that way. Sometimes you post this, sometimes you say that. And, you know, our lives are increasingly online, so we should be able to express ourselves. This legislation is basically saying, no, hatred, no, you're not allowed to hate anything. Hatred as a whole is bad. Oh, you don't like the way that the government is running things? And you hate us? Yeah, so you're a terrorist now. We basically already saw this already play out here in Canada. But yeah, it's obviously tyrannical ambitions from this guy. Let's keep going. Hate is on the rise.
More tools, not less, to denounce the hatred that we are seeing, and this will do exactly that.
And that probably is, once again, the sort of... that's the whole premise. That's the whole thesis. That's the whole purpose of this bill. It's tools to control hate. We need more tools to control the hate in Canada. People are calling out our shitty government. We need tools to throw these people in jail and shut them the fuck up because they're making us look bad. There it is in a nutshell.
I'd like to understand how you envision setting up this new digital services office, ombudsman commission, and keeping the partisanship out of it. Because some critics will automatically say, well, this is the government. The government gets to pick who's going to be. It's going to be David Johnston, the special rapporteur, all over again. What are you going to do to forestall that and deal with keeping partisanship out of this?
No, thank you, Stephanie, for the question. I think it's important. So it's a digital safety commission, it's a digital ombudsperson, and it's a digital safety office. So there's three sort of components here. But what's really critical is that they're going to have expertise. They're going to be able to deal with this in a dynamic manner. The internet is constantly changing. But very importantly, to your point, I know that we need to both establish this, but we need to have Canadians confident in how it's going to work on the ground. And what we've specifically entrenched in the bill itself, I'd urge you to look at it closely, is that the chair of that commission, the head Digital Safety Commissioner of Canada, will be decided in the chamber that is right below us. It'll be voted on in Parliament, in the House of Commons, and in the Senate. We want Canadians, through their representatives, to have a say on who that person is, to have confidence in their ability to execute that function. It is a critical function. I appreciate that. We are being very careful and measured in how we are approaching this and how we are working to ensure Canadians' confidence in that. If there are other measures that work towards enhancing Canadians' confidence in this institution that's being...
Hold on. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. That was a really good question. She says, how do you know this isn't going to be politically partisan? And then Arif gives this long-winded answer, long-winded of like, don't worry, we're going to elect somebody in Parliament. We know they're going to be a stand-up guy who's not going to be politically partisan at all. When has there ever been political partisanship in the Parliament buildings? Duh. Right, CBC? We totally agree with you, Arif. Yes, we will do whatever you say because you pay our bills. What about you, CTV? We agree with everything you say. Absolutely, Arif, because you pay our bills. It's like never, like wow. To his credit, he did a good job at like making it long-winded and pulling a Trudeau and making it like deflecting the question and basically making it sound like a good thing that the people in the Parliament are going to elect somebody fair and not politically partisan. Okay, yeah, it's funny.
Created. I hope that comes out in the parliamentary debates, in the committee study, in the Senate's work on this bill. It is critical that we get this right and ensure that confidence.
Minister, is this new standalone hate crime is that enough? Does there need to be more help for more support for law enforcement?
Hold on, I got to read this now. I thought he was laughing at Rabbi Shmuley's comment. We have Rabbi Shmuley in chat. I hope I'm not going on a wild goose chase here. Rabbi Shmuley. I don't see a Rabbi Shmuley. What happened? Guys, come on. I want to see the funny comment. Where is it? Arif looks like he is persistently testing Rabbi Shmuley's latest product line. I don't even want to know what that is. Is that a butt plug? Uh-oh. Now we need to know. Wow. Surprised nothing came up there. Just a moment, guys. We're looking up butt plugs right now. Oh, no. You guys, make love and war. Rabbi Shmuley Bo-Teach, chairman of the family-owned company Kosher Sex, has just announced the release of his company's latest product, a lubricant that is not only kosher, but also made in Israel. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. You're bullying Justice Minister Arif Virani, implying that he's using lubricant. You're sexualizing him. This is hatred. You should all go to jail. I'm going to anonymously report all of you for making this joke so we can stop the hatred online. I can't believe you. The internet was so safe until you guys said that. This is not the internet community that I want. How dare you make comments and jokes and about elected officials? Yeah. If there's another product other than kosher lube, you guys made me look up kosher lube on stream. Congratulations. I hope you're happy with yourselves. But if there's another product, I'm good. I don't need to look up the other product. It's fine. I'm sure something tells me Rabbi Shmuley might have something up his sleeve. Anyway, we're almost through it. We're almost done. Let's get through this.
To tackle this sort of thing?
I think we always need to ensure law enforcement has the assistance to do this. There's a person behind me, Mohammed Hashim, who's right here on the right, and he's been doing incredible work with the Canadian Race Relations Foundation.
Canadian Race Relations Foundation. This is a decent gotcha as well, because this guy has a pretty interesting history. Just give me a second here. Mohammed Hashim, there he is. He's the CEO of the Canadian Race Relations Foundation. Danforth shooting. So this is the same guy right here. I'll move my head a little bit. Right here. This is Mohammed Hashim, and this is an article from Toronto Sun from 2018. Fury, meet the spin doctor behind the Hassan family statement. So after the Danforth shooting, and for those who don't know, the Danforth shooting is like a very scandalous sort of, easily could call it a terrorist attack. The shooter was associated with more like extremist mosques, and the cousin of the shooter had like a stockpile of carfentanil. I guess it's not in this article. How do you spell fentanyl? I guess it's not in this article. That's weird. It should be. Come on, Toronto Sun. But yeah, there's a lot of nefarious connections with the Danforth shooter, and the major spin doctor behind it was this guy at the Canadian Race Relations Foundation, and the whole narrative was, wrote a loss for words. He was there's violence, severe mental health challenges. It was a mental health thing, guys. It was a mental health thing. Pay no attention to, the extremist mosque that he associated with. Pay no attention to his cousin who had a stockpile of carfentanil, enough to kill like millions of people, because carfentanil is like one of the most deadly chemicals. But yeah, so this is the guy, this spin doctor of the Danforth shooting, who basically, disconnected the dots between, fomenting hatred and violence and all that stuff. That's the guy who's going to keep us safe. yeah, I'm sure he's not biased at all, right? I'm sure he doesn't have an ideological agenda. So,
on just laying out what constitutes a hate crime. There are hate crimes units among certain police forces in this country. In my view, there are not enough.
Not enough hate crimes units. You heard him. We need more hate crime units. Hate crime units. I got to do more research on that too. I'm guessing that's what happened to the woman in Wasaga Beach, right? Hate crimes. Hate crime unit knocked on her door. Hey, don't talk about immigrants. Don't bring up race. You can talk about the tents, but just don't talk about this. I'm a hate crime unit police officer. I'm going to tell you what to say on social media.
What is critical in this legislation is that we are also entrenching a definition of hatred, which is critical. People say to me, well, Minister Virani, where did that definition come from? Is that something you guys just developed behind closed doors? Categorically not. That definition of what is hatred, what arises to the level of hatred, comes from Supreme Court jurisprudence that dates back to 2013 and cases before it. The Supreme Court.
Canada is so cooked, guys, because like this is one of the craziest parts about this bill, or how they're justifying it is like there's literally a Supreme Court precedent set of some case that I'll have to look up, but essentially it's well, you'll hear it in a second here, but they have Supreme Court like logic operating on this bill to expand the definition of criminal hate or illegal hate to mean detestation and vilification, which is crazy.
Of what is hatred, what arises to the level of hatred, comes from Supreme Court jurisprudence that dates back to 2013 and cases before it. The Supreme Court has outlined that what we are talking about is detestation and vilification of a person or a group.
Detestation and vilification of a group. Yo, are you guys up here on your hatred? You got to get up here. You got to get up to my level of the detestation and the vilification. Are you up here are you on my level, bro? You're like over here just like detesting the government, just disdaining the government. Maybe you're humiliating the government, but I'm up here, bro. I'm up here detesting and vilifying the government. That's where I'm at the cool level. I'm like raising the roof on the hatred. Detestation, vilification. Raise your hands. Get up. Let's go. Oh, yeah.
We are not talking about stuff that some people call awful but lawful. There will still be humiliating comments. There will still be offensive comments, insults, expressions of disdain and dislike.
This is so dumb. Like, this is honestly so stupid. He's making it seem like it's like simple to categorize what's an insult and what's not. Like, if I call you a villain, Arif, that's an insult. That's also vilification. So which is it? Am I going to jail for 25 years, 5 years, or 0? You know, it's like he makes it seem like it's so easy to like define. Oh, it's a very simple cookie cutter. No, it's not. No, it's not. And this speaks to the total absurdity of this law of why you could just drive a truck through all the loopholes in it. And it's going to amount to political persecution. They're going to be able to decide what we think is hate, criminal hate, illegal hate, what's up here. And then that stuff's okay. It's so subjective, but don't worry. The Canadian Liberal government and our ombudsperson elected by public officials will decide if it's hatred or not. Oh, wow, look at all that. All the right-wingers are in jail now. What do you know? Oh, my God.
There's a lot of stuff that is out there that will remain out there. But when people arise to the level of detestation and vilification, law enforcement, and they asked me for this when I was consulting on this literally 3.5 years ago as David Lametti's parliamentary secretary, they said we need clarity on the definition, as well as some of the things that you're asking, that you're putting on the table.
But there is no clarity, Arif. There is no clarity. Who's got the meme? Who's got the meme? I want to show the meme. I don't know if it was Lee Stewie. Shout outs to Lee Stewie, but she's been making some memes about Bill C-63. And she made this whole like disdain, not come on, can I find it? Let's see how long it takes me to find it. Come on. Oh, man, come on. Come on. We really need a consistent hashtag here, guys. Oh, man, I can't find it. I can't find it, but she makes a whole like spectrum of like, this is detestation and vilification. This is disdain. This is like irritated. This is like, I'm not liking it. It's not clear at all. It's not clear at all. It's like we're gonna you know, it's like saying, hey, we're gonna decide who's autistic and who's not. It's very simple. It's like, no, everyone's on the autism spectrum, okay? Some people are way more autistic, some people are sort of autistic, but the lines are blurry. Same with hatred, okay? Same with disdain or dislike, or you know, like the implication that there's a clear line between when you start to detest and vilify somebody is crazy. Like that the law is going to define an explicit line. There's a reason freedom of speech has been the way it is for decades and decades, especially when it comes to this topic. And the line that every Western country has decided on is like, well, you can't say that you're going to kill somebody. You can't encourage people to kill a group of people. That's been the line for a long time. And now they want to expand the line to like detest and vilify. It's crazy. Crazy. It's obviously going to be used against dissidents, but it's not going to pass because we're going to save free speech. Let's get through this.
What they also said to me is that prosecutions take time. So I'm being very candid with you. There are people that will pursue that criminal remedy, but for some people, some of the people that are right behind me, like Jane, who you just spoke to, what they want is for the material to just come down. Right? They just want that stuff off of the internet. What we are doing is at the same time we are addressing Canada Human Rights Act tools, criminal code tools, and tools through the new Digital Safety Commission that will help get this material out of public circulation, which is desperately what people need, especially our children.
This is crazy. Just like tools. We need more tools. We're going to take it off the internet. We're going to arrest them. It's going to be great. Honestly, we're going to have so much power to basically control people's thoughts all the time. Oh no, Lee Stewie said she got a Justin Trudeau ad before the stream. That is horrible. Why are they playing ads right now? Ads for what?
Le code criminel, ce sera toujours possible de faire un
now devant Stephanie, that is not content that form
of content that you're
loi now devant la chambre.
You've removed hate speech as one of the categories of content. So to Stephanie's point, how are you going to be you're not going to be regulating that because you've just taken it out of the 7 categories of content that you're going to be regulating social media companies to police.
So what I'd say to you is that there are 7 categories across the board that constitute harmful content. That is incorrect.
Hate speech, this is just dumb. She wasn't listening. Hate speech is on them. One of them is fomenting hatred. Where is it? Inciting violence and terrorism, and then inciting hatred and fomentation.
Foments hatred is one of the 7 categories. Okay, but to your point,
you're not taking them down.
That is not one of the
these journalists, man. I hate to say it, but you know it's like a white liberal woman talking right now. But you're not going to take the hate speech down quick enough. I'm a CTV news reporter. Of course I am.
Takedown provisions, that is correct. But there are still aspects that empower users. I'll give you some of them. Okay? If you are affected by what you think is content that is fomenting hatred, that meets that definition, what you can do is you can flag that content to the platform. One route.
You can already do that. You can already do that, Arif. You can already flag anything. Basically on any platform. For example, where is it? Where are we right now? Let's go. Report. Right there. It's right there. Arif, it's right there. Report. I can report this video. Let's see. Harmful and dangerous. Definitely. But you get the idea. Let's see what else we can find. I'm sure we could find lots. Okay, I was just searching Lee Stewie's stuff. Let's see. This post is not helpful. Report. I can report the post. I could say it's hate, abuse, violent, child safety, grooming. Wow, it's almost like this stuff is already here on the internet, Arif. It's almost like it's already here. Isn't that crazy? Guys, we need to tell Arif about this. Arif, it's okay. This already exists on the internet. If you didn't know that. Let's go to Facebook. Okay, here's a post by Jeremy McKenzie. Save post, embed, hide, unfollow. Report! Wow, there's a report thing on Facebook too. That's crazy. That's crazy. Guys, we need to let Arif know that how do I explain this? That big tech already fucking does this. You can already report stuff for all of the things that you've been yammering on about. It's already there. It's already there. Oh, but they're just big bad tech companies, right? They're just big bad tech companies that just want to take our money. Oh no, actually, what's that? They've already hired hundreds of people to address all of the things that you're concerned about, and you're acting like that doesn't even exist. Oh, but you were working for years. You were working for years on this legislation. But you don't know anything about how the internet and big tech already operates. It's almost like you're ignoring all of that because you have authoritarian, tyrannical intentions. Wow. Crazy. Imagine that.
Second route is you can flag that content to the Digital Services Commissioner. And
great. We're going to have another thing to flag to. The Digital Services Commissioner. We're going to have our own Canadian Tattletales. Isn't that fantastic? Instead of VeggieTales, we got Tattletales here in Canada.
And seek some response from the platform. The third route is that the platform, pursuant to this legislation, is going to implement a digital safety plan that talks about risks that are out there, what we're doing to reduce those risks, and they're going to be held accountable for what they are doing or not doing to hold to.
I like what Greg says, but his people are censoring free speech here. Ironic. I still like you guys, but I appreciate what you're doing. Isn't that a double standard? So here's the thing. That's a fair enough comment. If I were to just constantly be talking about, I don't know, what's a kind of out there topic? If I was constantly talking about like flat Earth or talking about like Jewish power like all the time and kind of saying like, hey, like, look at all this and like, the greatest story ever told or never told and Europa and like I was talking about that all the time. It would make it really easy for my political enemies to try and like completely sidetrack and completely sideline and kind of just blow up and just try and destroy my reputation and make safe free speech look like a joke or something like this, right? So we do need to employ some amount of strategy. Because yeah, you bring up a good point. Like, I don't want offensive comments in my chat, preferably because it just makes me look bad, and then by virtue of that, it makes the campaign of saving free speech look bad, and that's going to be bad because we're not going to achieve our goals. So, like this whole like free speech of like, hey, like you want to let me say what? Oh, by the way, what I should say first and foremost, YouTube automatically censors a bunch of comments. I have some control over that, but like I haven't gone into all the stuff. I'm just kind of too preoccupied with other things to look into this, but like YouTube will flag certain words already and it won't show up in chat. That's not me doing that. That's a YouTube already automatically doing that. And if a moderator takes away your comment, it's because of what I just mentioned. It's like, okay, like this probably isn't a great look for what we're trying to do here, which is to stop free speech or to save free speech. It's like in another way, it's like, it's not really the time to be a free speech absolutist. I will surely defend that when it comes up, like in a debate or in a discussion, but it's like, this needs to be something that appeals to like every Canadian, which is like, this is a tyrannical government trying to take our rights. Like, let's focus on that. Let's focus on that. All right. But yeah, YouTube automatically censors stuff without even me knowing. And I just, it's like way too much time to look into all that. But, so yeah. And the other thing too is like, you said, oh, isn't that a double standard? Here's the thing. Like, as a political dissident, as a right-wing person, I don't really have the sort of like institutional power to like enforce what I would want as free speech or illegal speech. Whereas right now, the far left is trying to gain that power to silence people. Like let's look at the context and the situation we're in right now. Like the institutional power of the Canadian government censoring people they don't like, that's real and might happen with Bill C-63. Me like censoring a YouTube comment that, is a little kooky or something, that's not at all the same. Okay? That's not at all even close. I can't throw anyone in jail. Okay? Like, okay, a YouTube comment wasn't seen to the people watching. Like, not to be like dismissive of your concern here, but it's like, it's kind of not a comparison at all. It doesn't hold a candle to the gravity of the situation we're dealing with Bill C-63. I do appreciate you calling out hypocrisy and all that type of thing, but yeah.
To reduce those risks themselves. If there is a situation where they're not abiding by the rules that they have set up for themselves, they can be subjected to penalties, and the penalties are significant. You heard me just touch on this in my comments. Those penalties touch as high as 6% of global revenue or $10 million, whichever is higher. That is a significant message to the platforms in Canada that their profit imperative solely cannot drive what is happening in Canada any longer. Safety has to be part of the equation, and we will ensure it is through penalties of that nature. Thank you very much.
There it is. There it is. Arif Virani. Wow. We got through it, folks. We got through it. Well, that was that was good research. That was good research. I think we went through a lot. We went through the best arguments for Bill C-63. And we got a lot of gotchas on Mr. Arif Virani as well. I brought it up already, but it's like the introduction to the bill was so alien compared to what the actual questions were. Like, because the introduction of the bill made it seem like, yeah, this is about protecting kids. And then the second half of the questions was like, yeah, we need more tools to police hate. Yeah, we're going to be able to throw people in jail and do this, that, and the other. And it's like, whoa. Are we talking about the same thing here? Is this the same thing? I don't know if this is the same thing or not. Not sure. But in a second here, it's getting pretty late, but I will kind of show you a teaser of this song, the critical race theory song. But if you're tuning in and you're excited about saving free speech, you want to support what I'm doing, then please contribute to the fundraiser. Go to givesendgo.com/savefreespeech. givesendgo.com/savefreespeech. All these donations are going to help with this documentary, the Save Free Speech documentary, all about exposing the people behind Bill C-63. And we're going to try to make this as big of a success as possible. Because not only are we going to expose that this bill is not about protecting kids, but we're going to expose what it's truly about. And it has to do with tyranny. It has to do with, oppressing and suppressing political opposition. Like all the bad things that they talk about in history. And we saw a little taste of that during the trucker convoy. This bill would be like arguably the biggest major legislative step to impose authoritarian rule, authoritarian speech laws in Canada. I think that's fair to say. I'm not a lawyer, but based on everything I've seen, I'm pretty sure it's really easy to say that. I'm pretty confident. I should write this down because I think that's actually a good way to phrase it. And I think lawyers would actually agree with me that if this passes, this would be like the biggest step in an authoritarian direction in terms of speech laws in Canada. Quote me on it, clip me on it. I don't know. But I do want to bring something else up real quick here because I talked about it earlier. Here it is. This is from Lee Stewie. The Digital Safety Advisory Hate Level. Detests, ding ding, severe risk of hate posting. Disdains, high risk of hate posting, humiliates, significant risk of hate posting, dislikes, general risk of hate posting, offends, low risk of hate posting. Yep. Yeah, it's really clear, Arif. This is totally clear. The line between detests and disdains is totally clear. Not. It's totally subjective, obviously. Oh, that's a great way. That's another good point. Good point, Lee. Good. DB likes it. Here we go. All right. Amazing. Raging Against Machine. That's some nice riff. Thanks, Daryl Skird. Yeah. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun tonight. You know what? I've been streaming for like almost 4 hours now, but it's good. I feel like we generated more ideas than I would have alone. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to keep the streams coming, more content. Maybe it'll be easier to clip them. Maybe, maybe I'll stumble upon better ideas or better arguments that we can make and put in a video for savefreespeech.ca. And yeah, I know, I guys, if you haven't noticed yet, I'm going to be a broken record, okay? I'm going to be talking about savefreespeech.ca. It's a website. I'm putting all my effort into this baby because we got to stop this. We got to stop Bill C-63. Hashtag stop Bill C-63. Okay. Go to our Twitter. SFS Canada. Save Free Speech. SFS Canada. Yeah, go give us a follow. Give us a follow on Twitter. We're also the same thing on Facebook. So it's just like, hold on. It's Facebook. Yeah, facebook.com/SFS Canada. It's the same. Yeah. Save Free Speech. If you're on Facebook, of course. And yeah, I'm just going to be posting the Save Free Speech videos to my YouTube channel. I just think it makes more sense. There's already there's already a following here. We're kind of on the same page. And yeah, of course, the Give, Send, Go. If you really want to help us out, or you know someone who really wants to like push against this bill, then support this project, because I feel like it's going to do, I am hoping it's going to do much more than just push against this bill. I'm hoping it's going to be like have a cultural impact as well, because in a way it's almost attacking the heart of political correctness. You know, this bullshit political correctness that we hate, yeah, but that we do hate genuinely, like, and for valid reasons. So yeah, it's givesendgo.com/savefreespeech. And every little donation counts. It goes towards better production value, reaching more people. You know, I'd love to. Oh, Raging Against the Machine sent $20. Thank you, bro. Okay. White fucking Powerade. That's right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. That's great. That's a great note to end on. Thank you, bro. Every donation counts, though. That's great. Thanks again for tuning in. And amazing. Edgy DTV gives the official endorsement to Give, Send, Go. And yeah, also one last thing that I'll promote here is the Instagram. The Instagram is, what is it again? I think it's the whole website. Instagram's so weird for that. Yeah, so we also have an Instagram, and it's literally just savefreespeech.ca. That's the actual handle. So if you search on Instagram, savefreespeech.ca, that'll come up. And yeah, this is, if you guys are thinking, oh, this is, hey, like, why isn't it bigger yet? This is just the beginning, okay? This is just the beginning. It's the off season. It's August. Really hoping things are going to pick up in a couple weeks, because we should have some very, very powerful and important content coming out in September. People are coming back from vacation after Labor Day, and that's when I want to really boom, hit it hard, let people know about Save Free Speech, and get the pressure up, get the pressure on. And there's going to be a lot of updates. The website's going to get much better, and there's going to be stuff that is going to be, I like to say, more normie friendly. It's going to be stuff that's more like just explaining the bill, just explaining why this isn't about protecting kids. Like very kind of simple, entertaining, and informative videos. That's like, oh, I could actually send this to my, apolitical friend, right? That's kind of the goal. That's the goal, to have content that is easy to share, easy to understand, and gets people aware of what's going on and moving in the right direction. So that's what I'm going to be spending my time on. That's what I'm going to be spending my time working on. So appreciate all of you for tuning in. And we can do it. We can save free speech. We can do it. I think we can actually do it. I'm happy to be doing more streams like this to do more community stuff, bringing people into the fold, because I think we need more of that. Because we can't do it alone. We need to team up. We need to build this. We need to build this out and make this work. So yeah, guys, thanks again for watching and tuning in. I guess finally, if you want to if you know the woman who was visited by the police, try to get her in touch with me. I would love to interview her and talk to her. And or any of the lawyers on YouTube. I would love to talk to them as well. I need to get some freedom fighters on here too, though, interviewing them about this, because Schmid House podcast is live. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm really hungry. Thanks again for tuning in. Love you guys. SaveFreeSpeech.ca. GiveSendGo.com/SaveFreeSpeech. I'm going to be talking about this a lot for the next few months, and I'm hoping that we can make a change, make a difference. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.